Welcome to CounterCultureWISE, a Stormcat production, with your hosts Melanie Hope and James Monis. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts, our guests, and the dog, and do not necessarily reflect the views of any of our platforms, our advertisers, or any other dog.
As you listen today, please remember, we are so much more than a podcast. All of our stories we discuss are linked in our show notes on CounterCultureWISE.com. Visit there for commentary, guest photos and links, animations, and fun merchandise.
If you have a story idea or would like to be a guest on our show, contact us via our website. You can also follow us on Twitter, Gab, Instagram, Facebook, and all over social media, where we'll post memes, cat pics, and commentary that gets us booted off on a regular basis.
If you're watching our live show, hit like and join the chat. If you're listening dead, well, you can still hit like, share, subscribe, and comment, but please stop voting Democrat. And with the meows of the Macamow, who's sitting right here next to me in his little bassinet, along with our little new baby Frankie, who's at my feet. And of course, Miss Sadie is also here. Everybody's in the room. Well, this is the room with the air conditioning.
Yeah, indeed.
Anyways, with the meows of the Mackie Meow, we start another CounterCultureWISE show. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another fabulous Sunday here in Central Texas. Holy moly, is it hot, but we got a reprieve yesterday with some glorious rain. Brief, but cool, and it was lovely. Hello, everybody.
Necessary.
It's very necessary. I am your hostess with the mostest. I had to put an extra T in hostess, because otherwise it doesn't rhyme. Ms. Melanie Hope, and here, right at my right hand, is my right-hand man, my co-host, my husband, my best friend, and my sweet baboo, Mr. James Monis.
Babu. Well, this weekend is the birthday of one of my heroes, Mr. Richard Starkey, OBE, better known as Ringo Starr.
OBE?
Yes. Well, actually, it's an MBE. He didn't get an OBE. I'm sorry, it's an MBE.
What is an OBE?
Order of the British Empire.
Oh,
Sir
he was knitted.
Ringo Starr.
He was knitted.
He was knitted.
So were all four of them knitted?
Yes, all. Yes.
So,
Yes,
John
but John
knitted-
John gave his back.
Yeah, because he became an American citizen, right?
Well, it wasn't that. There was a protest against the war.
Yeah,
and-
protest. Wham, wham. He's
blah,
always
blah, blah,
protesting
blah.
something.
Anyway.
Anyways, happy birthday, Ringo!
Happy birthday, Ringo. And, so I just wanted to say, a lot of people don't appreciate Ringo and think he was just lucky to be the drummer in the Beatles, but they don't understand song structure.
He always had the exact perfect riff. It was never,
Exactly. That was
just
the
like
point.
George. It was never too much. It was just right.
Charlie Watts from the Stones may have been better technique-wise, but Ringo just had that heartbeat. He was the literal heartbeat of the Beatles and took these incredible songs that the other three wrote and just just knocked it to the next level. So just wanted to acknowledge
There's
that.
never going to be that kind of chemistry ever again.
No, that was a one-time thing.
Everybody will forever be compared to the Beatles.
I love their music. I'm addicted to collecting vintage Beatles albums. I need help.
Yes, you do. Especially, you need help? Yeah, you do. Especially since you have nothing to play them on.
Yeah. The joke was I need help, but that's okay. I'll just...
Oh! Well, I would help you if I could, but I'm feeling down. Although, I must say, I do appreciate you being around, so... Won't you please?
Please help me.
Okay, I see what you're doing there. I couldn't
Now
figure
you
out
do.
why you were making
Like-
a face. It looked like you were grimacing in pain. I was going to come over and give you mouth to mouth and end the
anytime.
show. And
Well, we got a show to do. Come on.
anytime.
It's not be silly here. Okay, so we're going to do...
Well, wait, before we do that, happy 4th of July to everybody.
Indeed.
And
I hope you had a fantastic 4th.
Everybody that we know and love and all of my students didn't blow off any of their fingers, so that's always a good thing. I hope yours was amazing. We did... Doodly, and I think we did a little bit of squat. Yeah. Not even that much. But we did have fun. We popped popcorn and cozied up in bed and watched Independence Day. I cannot believe how old that movie is and how well it held up.
I haven't seen it in like 10 years, and I'd forgotten 20 years old. I forgot half the cast. I knew Will Smith was in it. I'd totally forgotten Judd Hirsch was in it. It's one of his best roles. I've seen.
He was great in that movie.
Bill Pullman.
My crush.
Yeah. And
I wonder what he looks like now.
Jeff Goldblum, quite a few other great actors, and great story.
And the effects were actually pretty good too.
Yeah.
And don't forget Data.
Yeah. Totally different character.
Oh yeah, Bill Pullman aged well. Yeah, he did okay.
That doesn't surprise me.
But yeah, the acting was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun movie.
Apparently, they made a sequel, which we haven't watched. I heard it wasn't as good.
How is there a sequel? We vanquished the aliens. How is there a sequel to that?
There were more aliens.
No, we got rid of them all. That was the whole point of the...
But did they? Anyway, it might be a different bunch of aliens. I haven't seen it. Don't know if I want to, because usually sequels are not that good. But it does have a lot of the same cast in it. So.
Wait, they're saying there's an Independence Day 3?
3?
No, don't do that. Don't do
2
that.
is a bad idea. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, don't do 3. That. Okay, no, it's a question.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think that...
no, it came out in 2023. Not a single person saw it.
Yeah, not a single person heard about it.
Oh, no. Why would you do that to yourself?
Because, they had money to blow, I guess.
Yes.
It probably didn't make any money. I know the first one made a ton of money.
Now they're thinking about possibly reviving it as a TV series. Now, that I could see.
Well,
that
maybe.
I could see.
Maybe.
But, folks, why don't we just start coming up with new ideas? Why do we have to constantly just redo the same thing over
some
and over?
People like to see what happened. If the movie's good enough, they want to see if there's what happens to the characters.
There's always like a reimagining or something changed or somebody died.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like Tremors. I love Tremors. Tremors 2, Tremors 3. You're never going to have that perfect moment like you had in the original Tremors. It's a cult classic.
Right.
And, speaking of rehashing the same old thing over and over again.
Oh, my God.
Last week we talked about the debate.
The debacle. And, however, Disney, ABC News, decided to give him a chance to burnish his reputation, to restore his standing in America. So they hired, of course, George Stephanopoulos, who, with each passing year, looks more and more like Scooter from the Muppet Show.
Oh my gosh, I did not make that connection, but he totally does.
But you know something? I think that the mainstream media is being kind of told to scoot old Joe aside, because last week with Dana Bash and Jake Tapper, they did an amazing job. This one,
I still think Tapper and Bash sounds like an English breakfast.
Yes, it does. or an 80s pop band or something. But yeah, George talked to Joe and asked him serious questions, and I haven't seen the entire. We're gonna look at the lowlights of this interview, but he tried, but he was being very even-handed. He asked what I thought were very fair and reasonable questions.
If someone were inclined to answer them, which, of course, the cabbage in chief is not.
Well, let's go over it and see what happens.
All right.
here.
Well, we'll start with. All right. So first, let's talk about the giant orange elephant in the room. What were they thinking?
I don't know.
The memes.
I guess orange skin
memes
is supposed
have been
to.
so juicy.
Oh, I know, so to speak.
So spicy. So
Just like
was perfect. My favorite
Yeah.
is I'm the orange man now. Oh my goodness. Okay, well let's see what the old goat has to say.
But your friend Nancy Pelosi actually framed the question I think is on the minds of millions of Americans. Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
Look at the face. Day.
Well,
Do you think somebody's in his ear? Do you think?
I don't see an earpiece this time.
Well, you can't see the other ear. He's surprisingly alive.
This is animated.
It's a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted.
Exhausted from what? Napping for 12 days?
Yeah, he was back
basement.
from a trip and he had a cold and other excuses. And, he's just slightly more understandable this time. At least you can give him that.
Sort of.
I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing, and I had a bad night.
You say you were...
I like how how Scott Adams has been calling it the O.J. Simpson defense. I had just one bad night. What? It was just one bad night.
exhausted, and I know you've said that before as well, but you came, and you did have a tough month, but you came home from Europe about 11 or 12 days before the debate, spent 6 days in Camp David. Why wasn't that enough rest time, enough recovery time?
Because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked if they did a COVID test because they're trying to figure out what's wrong. They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection, a virus. I didn't. They just had a really bad cold.
So you just had a cold. Oh, you poor baby.
Did you ever watch the debate?
A cold doesn't make me, lie and fabricate numbers.
Will not make you sundown.
Yeah.
Anyway, George was about to ask a very important question.
Okay.
Afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Okay, what was the question?
The question was, did you watch the debate afterwards?
Wait, okay.
A really bad cold.
And did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Okay. How could you not know?
You did? You don't think you did?
Don't think you did? How could you not know?
Okay. I don't want to draw conclusions, but I don't think I need to hear much more, honestly. I don't know. We'll watch some more of it.
Oh no, there's some gems in here.
Oh dear Lord.
Well, what I want to get at is, what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going?
Yeah, look.
I thought the video froze for a minute, but that was just him.
The whole way I prepared, nobody's fault, mine. Nobody's fault but mine.
Why is he holding a pen?
I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down.
He's preparing to jab George in the head.
Foreign leaders of the National Security Council for explicit detail. And I realized about partway through that, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points before the debate, 9 now, or whatever the hell it is.
What? What does that have to do with his performance? This has nothing to do with the question.
No, he's drifting off.
The fact of the matter is that what I looked at is that he also lied 28 times. I couldn't.
Let's hear which lies they were.
Started
and by the way,
with the fine people hoax.
Yeah.
You invoked Russia.
Yep.
You said the laptop is still not real. You said that he wants to ban abortion when he's explicitly said he does not. You said that he called military veterans suckers and losers. He did not. You made up lie after lie after, ones that have been debunked by Snopes, for crying out loud. I would like to know what lies he thinks he told. Because I bet you it's just... Because what they consider to be lies is when Trump said...
It was the best ever.
We had the best economy ever.
And
they're like, it wasn't the best economy ever. It was only the best economy within the last 100 years. Oh, my bad. Excuse me for quote-unquote lying. You know,
Okay,
best
we
ever
all
in-
know, even
best ever in every living human being's life. I think that counts.
yeah, I know he talks in hyperbole. I know
But
he
it's
talks in
based on
generalities, but honestly, folks, no one, I mean, okay, both of them can be considered tellers of mistruths. However, I don't think that Trump
is a salesman.
Yeah.
So he's going to
That's
sell
what he
you
does.
the best car on the lot.
Yeah.
Even if it's somewhat of a
That's
clunker.
how he made his money.
But it's still a car. It still runs. It's still for sale. And it's still probably a decent vehicle. Biden thinks his uncle was eaten by cannibals. He rode trains that didn't exist, talked to conductors that were dead for several years.
And his uncle got
people's
eaten
lives.
by cannibals.
I already said that.
Oh.
Thinks that the Fine People hoax is still a thing to campaign on, even though it's been 100% debunked. Still calls people wandering through their own capital an insurrection. Babe, if we were to insurrect, it get done, okay? It would have been done. Trust me on this. And just completely corn pop. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. He lied about his grades. He lied about his place in his graduating class. He had to drop out of the presidency race twice for plagiarism.
And he did it again.
And
he still, this time he won, but he had done it again.
And there is nothing that tumbles out of this mushmouth's face that is true. Like, literally nothing. Not a single thing.
Not even how his son died, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, he can't even get that right.
So,
I mean, the way the debate ran, not my fault. No one else's fault. No one else's fault.
Well, yeah, because you're the one who set all the parameters. It was all about you, Joey, baby. You got to pick the time, the place, the network. You got to pick who went first.
Still won.
I love that you do the face. You know, you got to pick which side of the podium. I mean, come on, you got... Totally your fault.
It seemed like you were having trouble from the first question.
Yeah, he couldn't even walk.
Even before he spoke.
Look at the face.
Well, I just had a bad night. You've had some bad interviews once in a while. I can't remember any. I'm sure you did.
I've had plenty.
But the entire night was bad,
I guess the
Joe.
question, the problem is here for a lot of Americans watching, as you've said, going back to 2020, watch me. Yep. To people who are concerned about your age.
Look at that smile. It's like he doesn't
comprehend. He's not comprehending.
Yeah. Are they in like an actual like school library or something?
It's at a school somewhere in. They announced at the beginning of the.
Because I know that he had what. Oh, he's going to talk about this giant rally that he had. It was a high school auditorium.
Oh wow, huge!
And he didn't even fill it.
Of course not.
But way bigger than Trump.
50 million Americans watched that debate. It seemed to confirm fears they already had.
Well, look, after that debate, I did 10 major events in a row, including till 2 o'clock.
No, Jill did 10 major events in a row. You stood there with your mouth open.
Morning after that debate, I did events in North Carolina. I did events in Georgia. Did events like this today. Large crowds, overwhelming response, no slipping.
No.
And so I just had a bad night. I don't know why.
And how quickly?
I don't know why.
Did it
I
come
can't figure
to
it
you
out.
That you were having that bad night?
What happened?
Well, Kane was having a bad night when I realized that even when I was answering a question, even though they turned his mic off, he was still shouting.
Oh,
no!
I have footage of him screaming. You want to see it?
Okay.
This is Trump screaming into the mic while Biden's talking. So watch how this violent, evil felon is screaming into the mic while poor widow Biden's trying to say something.
Number 2.
Oh, sorry about all the... I thought I had that queued up.
The entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one.
No, he didn't.
Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy.
No, they didn't.
What I'm going to do is fix the tax system.
No, you're not.
We have 1,000 trillionaires in America.
1,000 trillionaires.
What?
You heard it, folks.
He fixed it.
I know.
He fixed it.
Seriously.
Okay, but I just want you to pay attention to how Trump was shouting into the mic the entire time that poor widow Biden was trying to talk, and he couldn't get a word out because
I watched it. I don't remember.
Mino Twompy was yelling the whole time.
I don't remember him yelling at all.
No, he didn't.
Ever.
He sat there with his mouth shut and his hands folded.
He kind of
he
looked down and smirked once in a while.
Yeah, but I mean, you had to because this moron was yabbering on and lie after. I mean,
kind of
he told like what 4 lies right in that little segment. What?
I said we're kind of opinionated here.
I'll bet.
And I let it distract me. I'm not blaming it on that. But I realized
You're
that
a
I just
liar.
wasn't in control.
But part of the other concern is
Why
that
didn't he
this seems to
push
fit
back
into
on
a
that?
pattern of decline that has been reported on recently. New York Times.
That is the smile of an Alzheimer's patient.
And a liar.
And a liar and a cheat.
Had a headline on July 2nd, Biden's lapses are said to be increasingly common and worrisome. Here's what they wrote. People who have spent time with President Biden over the last few months or so said the lapses appear to have grown more frequent, more pronounced, and after Thursday's debate, more worrisome. By many accounts, as evidenced by video footage, observation, and interviews, Mr. Biden is not the same today as he was even when...
Actually, I think that's anger.
Yeah, he's masking his anger.
Not well.
He took office 3.5 years ago. Similar reporting in the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal.
And those
Are
all
you the same man
rags.
today that you were when you took office 3.5 years ago?
In terms of successes, yes.
And here come the
I
lies.
also was the guy who put together a peace plan for the Middle East.
No, you didn't. You made it worse. It's more unstable now than ever.
NATO as well.
Expanding NATO is not a brag. Expanding NATO is why we are at war right now, and World War III is just looming over us right now. You did not do peace in the Middle East. You did not get the Abraham Accords signed. That Trump did that. And if Trump were in office, and rightfully so, it should have been this entire time. If Trump were in office, there would be no Ukraine war. And I bet you anything October 4th would not have happened. Trump wouldn't have allowed it.
No, it wouldn't. The attack, the Hamas attack wouldn't have happened.
There's actually a really good video.
They feel emboldened. This October 7th thing, they got emboldened by...
Well, yeah, by a weak leader who left behind millions of dollars of equipment that I'm sure has made its way to Russia by now. But I expanded NATO? That is not a brag.
No, some people consider it a brag, though.
People
It isn't working out too well.
Doesn't matter.
Also the guy that grew the economy.
No, you did not. Because there are so many people who can't afford to buy groceries.
Groceries, general purchases have gone up at least on average 25%. They're in some cases, like gasoline, has fluctuated a lot, but
groceries are 4 times the cost that they were just 2 years ago. 4
even
times.
a pound of beef, just like
we've been priced out a hamburger. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about us; we're talking about people in general. I mean, you can't even. It's astounding to me that people
and
are
wages haven't gone up. Wages have not gone up at all. At all.
I find it astounding that people are still going to vote for this guy. I find it absolutely astounding.
No, nobody actually votes for Joe Biden. They just vote against Trump because they believe this kind of nonsense.
The individual things that were done were ideas I had or I fulfilled. I moved on. And so, for example...
You've never had an idea, Joe.
Well, that was true then. What's Biden done lately? You just, today, announced 200,000 new jobs.
No. Okay, can we have one? I could use one or two.
I can use 3 or 4.
Yeah. Where are these new jobs,
And-
Joe? Where are they? Where are these so-called... And what the hell does the president have to do with new jobs? He's not in private industry. He's not creating anything. He's not making anything. So where are these jobs coming from?
Well,
Are they all government positions?
yeah, it's 206,000 jobs. U.S. employers added it, but we're still coming back from COVID, and
I mean, he extended the lockdown, so basically these jobs would have come back anyway, right?
okay. I mean, I'm willing to give him credit for a couple of things. That's fine, but it ain't enough. It's not enough.
I'm still looking for a job. Can't even get a call back.
Direction that no one's ever taken on. I know you know this from the days in the government. I took on Big Pharma. I beat them.
Beat them with
didn't?
what?
He beat them
You beat them with a payment.
with taking their bribes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one said I could beat them. I took on all.
How? How, Joe? How did you beat Big Pharma? Was it by reinstating the Trump policy that lowered the price of insulin and other drugs? Because your first day in office, you executive ordered that
Gone.
And then you just put it back and you take credit for it? What the hell, Joe?
The things we said we got done. We were told we couldn't get done. And part of it.
Nobody told you couldn't get anything. Everybody just has been fawning and throwing themselves at your feet. There's not a single
I would
person
be
in the world.
delighted if you had followed through on everything you were supposed to do.
Have we cured cancer yet, Joe? Because you promised that. You promised us. Waiting for that
beat
one there,
Medicare.
Joey.
Is what I said when I ran was I wanted to do 3 things. Restore some decency to the office.
So would that be the anal sex, the half-naked trannies, or the cocaine that was the most decent thing you've done since you've been in office?
Melanie is on fire.
Restore some support for the middle class instead of trickle-down economics built from the middle.
There is no support for the middle class because you completely decimated the middle class. There is no middle class anymore, Joe.
From the bottom up, the way the wealthy still do fine, everyone does better, and unite the country.
But what has all that work over the last 3.5 years cost you physically, mentally, emotionally?
Good question.
Well,
I was a dumbass when I
just
came
think it
into
cost
office
me
and
a
nothing's
really
changed.
Bad night, bad run. But, George,
Hey, you remembered
I'm
his name.
optimistic about this country. I don't think we're a
What does that have to do with the question there, Joey?
Joey not good at answering questions.
country of losers, he points out. I don't think America's in tough shape. I think America's on the cusp of breaking through in so many incredible opportunities. This next term, I'm going to make sure we have straighten out the tax system. I'm going to make
You mean with the, what was it, 80,000 new IRS
Yeah, they'll
agents
straighten
that
out
are
the tax system, all
armed?
right.
Yeah, that'll straighten it out all right. You're already choking us to death, and now you're going to be auditing us.
sure we're in a situation where we have health care for all people.
No.
Okay,
We're in a
all right.
position where we
Pause it. One of my dearest friends, who was a staunch supporter of Biden, a staunch supporter of Obama, he can't get health care for his wife, who is desperately ill. This was supposed to have already happened. Obamacare was supposed to end the disparity in health care. And instead, and I know this from personal experience, you get a new job in order to fulfill the needs of Obamacare, to fit their regulations. You are typically given one meh, kind of okay insurance.
That takes about a third of your paycheck.
Right. Your other option is high premium, high deductible, offers of, a few more things, but is so astronomically expensive that nobody goes for it.
And nobody can afford it.
And so that's your choice, folks. That's the kind of choice you've got. You've got
now,
suck or unavailable.
Yeah.
Or
but
you work for 40 hours a week just to have insurance
right.
for your family, which
and
some people
do.
do.
You still can't afford to pay your bills.
And still can't afford to pay
And
your bills.
meanwhile, if you just wander across the border, you get free health care. We don't. We don't. We have to pay for theirs, but I do not have access to healthcare at all. None. Zero. Zip. Nil. Yet.
And she needs
Nada.
it, folks.
And I need it, folks.
I mean, I'm not going to go into details. It's nobody's business, but
yeah,
we need some help here. Not just Melanie and me.
We're not saying we as in
Americans.
CounterCultureWISE, we're saying we as in America. What he's saying is absolute bupkis.
It's baloney.
I had insurance until Obamacare, and I've never actually had decent medical since. In fact, they've cocked it up worse than ever. Everything they've done has been worse since Obamacare.
Right.
And way more expensive. I mean, I cannot believe how much more expensive things are now. And, I hate to be the person to say I told you so, but we all told him so. We all told him so. Obamacare is a failure, an absolute failure.
Does my wife have to wait until Medicare kicks in to get any health care at all? And I mean, I'm not proud of the fact that
Medicare
I've
sucks
been able to.
Donkey water now too.
Well,
in order to get on, let's say I have a non-emergency but urgent issue that I need to see a doctor for.
Right.
I have to set an appointment 3, 4, 5 months in advance. And the last time I did that, they canceled it the day before. And I had to start all over again. Same with the dentist. It's even the same with veterinarians now. It's gotten ridiculous. They've completely decimated healthcare. And everybody thinks they want to socialize medicine, but talk to people who live in countries that have socialized medicine. They hate it. They hate it. Canada is so bad that they've decided they're just going to start killing people rather than treating them.
Literally.
Government mandated suicide. Look it up. They're not the first and they're not going to be the last that's coming here thanks to morons like this wannabe orange boy.
Have child care and elder care, free up, and all these things.
We have elder care. It's called the White House. Thanks a lot, Joe.
One thing I'm proudest of is you remember when my economic plan was put forward, a lot of the mainstream economists said it's not going to work.
And it didn't.
Guess what? You now have
what's with the guess what? Why is he constantly?
He always talks
He's
like
like
that.
a little child. Guess what? Look what I can do. Guess what? Look, mommy, look what I can do.
What he wants to do, enormous success. Trump's plan would cause a recession, would significantly increase inflation.
How?
Yeah, I'd like to know how.
Because it didn't happen last time. We had the best economy in 100 years. Folks, we were paying all of our bills and doing just fine. We're doing just fine. And then he gets in there and everything just fell apart.
Yeah.
I've made great progress, and that's what I plan on doing. And we can do this.
You're not affected by this, Joe.
That, and I'm not disputing that. What I'm asking you is about your personal situation. Do you dispute?
He's not going to answer the
there
question.
have been more lapses, especially in the last several months?
Can I run the 110 flat? No. But I'm still in good shape.
Are you more frail?
No.
I know you spoke.
Complete my schedule.
I know you spoke with your doctor after the debate. What did he?
His schedule. He is
hold on.
only.
Wait. I want to back up just a little bit. He asked if it was he said he can't run 110 flat. He couldn't do that before. What's that got to do with? What kind of an answer is that?
What is 110 flat?
Ask him. Explain.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. Whatever.
I don't even know what that is. I think he's just making something up.
I don't know. Anyway.
I had something I was going to say.
I know you
Complete
spoke.
my schedule.
Okay, his schedule. 10 to 4. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's it.
And I'm sure he has lunch.
No more Joe.
Assuming he has lunch too.
Yeah, 10 to 4.
10 to 4.
That's the only time that he can be guaranteed to be awake and propped up and hopped up on whatever it is. And then that's it. He's gone. And that's on a good day. 10 to 4. So if there's, a nuclear war at 3 o'clock in the morning, forget it. We don't have a president. Who is running the country? Because it ain't him.
I know you spoke with your doctor after the debate. What did he say?
He said, he just looked at me. He said, "You're exhausted."
Why?
I said,
You haven't done anything, Joe.
Medical doctors travel me everywhere. Every president does, as you know. Medical doctors, some of the best in the world, travel me everywhere I go. I have an ongoing assessment of what I'm doing. They don't hesitate to tell me if they think there's something wrong.
What about a
I know you said you
cognitive
have an
test,
ongoing
Joe?
assessment. Have you had a full neurological and cognitive
No.
evaluation?
I get a full neurological test every day.
He thinks that by doing his job, that's like a neurological test. This is what him and Black Raggedy Ann have been saying over and over again. In other words, he's not going to take one because he'll fail it. Just like it. Same reason he won't take an IQ test. Because he'd fail it.
We don't.
With me. Yeah. And I've had a full
That's the
physical.
joke, Jim.
I had, I've been at Walter Reed for my physicals. Yes. The answer is
I know your doctor said he consulted with a neurologist. I guess I'm asking a slightly different question. Have you had the specific cognitive tests, and have you had a neurologist, a specialist?
Look at the look of an how do you say the word?
Incredulity.
On his face, like, how dare you? How dare you insinuate that I should take the same test that everybody forced Trump to take twice? How dare you?
And passed with flying colors.
Best test taker ever.
Best test taker ever.
I could tell the rhinoceros right away. I don't know if you saw that segment with Don Lemon and Fredo.
No.
Oh, he was showing, they were making fun of Trump for doing the cognitive test and, bragging about it because that's just what Trump does. Yeah. Making fun of him. And Don Lemon says, anybody can tell that's an elephant. It was a rhinoceros. So Don Lemon couldn't even pass the cognitive test, and Fredo had to tell him.
He was voted worst journalist ever by
worst journalist of the year. Yeah. And running.
Do an examination.
No one said I had to.
No.
They said I'm.
The entire nation of the United States of America, not to mention most of the free world, has said, you need to, Joe. You need to.
Good.
Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical evaluation that included neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people?
Look, I have a cognitive test every single day.
No, you don't.
Every day I have that test.
You're having one right now and failing.
Not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world. And that's not how it sounds like hyperbole. But we are the essential nation of the world.
Are not. Right. You can barely run your diaper, Joe.
Today, before I come out here, I'm on the phone with the Prime Minister of. Anyway, I shouldn't get into detail, but.
I'm on the phone with the Prime Minister of I forget who it was, so I'm not going to get into detail.
Precisely. Those words weren't in there, but they were in there.
They were in there.
Yeah.
No idea who he was on the phone with.
With Netanyahu. I'm on the phone with the new Prime Minister of England. I'm working on...
What's her name, Joe? He has no idea.
No.
On what we're doing with regard to, in Europe, with regard to expansion of NATO and whether it's going to stick.
And yes, I know it's not a woman.
Taking on Putin. Every day...
You are not taking on Putin, you puss. Jim doesn't like it when I use that word.
Mm-hmm. We call him poopy pants over here.
The only thing you've taken on, Joe, is debt. That's the only thing you've taken on, Joe.
And we're doing it with you.
There's no day I go through. They're not those decisions I have to make every single day.
This is a really, 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 really long-winded way for him to say, no, I'm not going to take a cognitive test.
Yeah, it's a very long-winded way of saying.
He just doesn't understand that yes,
you
no
wouldn't be able
questions.
to spell cognitive test.
No.
And you have been doing that, and the American people have been watching, yet their concerns about your age and your health are growing. So that's why I'm asking to reassure them.
Yeah, just reassure them, Joe.
To have the independent
it's a fair question.
Evaluation.
Watch me there's a lot of time left in this campaign.
We have been watching you, Joe. That's why we want you to take the test.
So the answer,
decision.
The right answer right now is no. You don't want to do that right now.
No, I've already done it.
No, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
You talked a lot about your successes at the beginning of this interview, and I don't want to dispute that. I don't want to debate that. But as you know, elections are about the future, not the past. They're about tomorrow, not yesterday. And the question on so many people's minds right now is, can you serve effectively for the next 4 years?
What's with the creepy smile?
Because he's creepy Joe Biden.
George.
Oh no, he's gonna do the creepy
He's gonna
whisper.
do the creep.
He's gonna I always feel like I need to take a shower after this, and he would want to shower with me like he does his daughter.
You're the guy that put NATO together. The future.
You did not put NATO together, you...
Putz.
Thank you.
No one thought I could expand it.
Why are we whispering?
Why? The guy that shut Putin down.
No, you didn't.
Shut him down how?
How? There is a war going on, and you're sending them billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, and Putin hasn't shut nothing.
No one thought it could happen.
Everyone
thought
it could happen. And you know what? Even Putin says Trump's going to be the one to negotiate the deal. Never would have happened if you hadn't have expanded NATO, you
Putz.
I'm the guy that put together the South Pacific Initiative.
Some enchanted
I'm the guy that
evening.
got 50 nations, not only in Europe, outside of Europe as well, to help Ukraine.
So we had to get 50 nations to help Ukraine do what? Because you said you already shut down Putin, so Ukraine doesn't need us anymore, right?
I mean, technically, if you're shutting Putin down,
can't
why
have
is
it
he
both
still
ways.
in office if he was shut down?
Yeah. And why is there still a war?
Tack it up, buddy. Gonna shut you
I'm really
down.
confused as to why there's still a Ukrainian war going on if Putin shut down there, buddy. Just kind of curious about that one. Not sure what's going on there, buddy. Where are we getting that idea?
I'm the guy that got Japanese to expand their budget.
I got Japanese to expand their budget? What the bloody blazes does that mean?
You are honorable idiot. Anyway, continue. Sorry. I just can't.
He's just making crap up now.
And for example, when I decided
Cognitive
we
test,
used
Joe.
to have 40% of the computer chip, and we invented the chip, that little chip for the computer chip.
Joe Biden, along with John Kerry, just invented a computer chip for the internet.
Which,
he cured cancer and... it was Al Gore. I'm sorry, not the wrong
it's
guy.
okay. It's okay.
I almost said Al Bundy, so you're lucky I got out what I got out.
Al Bundy would have been a better president.
There is that.
It's in everything from cell phone to weapons.
Why does he point to his pinky
And by
when
the
he
way,
says chip?
The computer chip, it is a wonderful thing. He's asking you what you are doing in the future. The chip is already here.
Yeah.
The chip is in your brain. The chip...
I wish the chip was in it. The lunatic is on the...
And so we used to have 40%, and we're down to virtually nothing. So I get in the plane against the advice of everybody, and I fly to South Korea. I convinced them to invest in the United States billions of dollars.
No.
Now we have tens of billions of dollars being invested in the United States, making us back in a position where we're going to own that industry.
We're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, where you just said Putin was shut down. Anyway, another anyway. What's with his anyways?
It's because his brain is fading.
Too much credit.
But we need to start playing the doo-doo-doo sound.
Great staff.
But I guess my point is, all that takes a toll. Do you have the mental and physical capacity to do it for
He's not
another
going to answer
years?
it, George.
Steve, I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I did. Look.
I wouldn't be running if
Spit it out, Porky.
I'm running again because I think I understand best what has to be done to take this nation to a completely new level.
A new level. Like
we're already at a new level.
We don't
like it. We want to go back to the old level.
I don't like being a third world country whose dictator jails his opponents and any of his supporters. I don't like this new level. I want to go back to being the land of the free and the home of the brave.
We're on our way.
I don't want to be on the way.
And look, the decision recently made by the Supreme Court on immunity. You know, the next president...
Oh my God, he's not going to lie about how he can just walk around and shoot people in the head. Folks, if you don't understand how this works, this was already in place. Nothing changed. Nothing's new. The Supreme Court just said, oh, we should probably uphold that.
They're just affirming it.
And it does not say that the president has total immunity. And any complete imbecile who tries to pretend that's true is either a troll or they're a complete imbecile who doesn't know how to read.
Yeah.
States, it's not just about whether he or she knows what they're doing. It's not about a conglomerate of people making decisions. It's about the character of the president. The character of the president.
You mean like some guy who's been on the take since the 1970s, is a perpetual liar, takes bribes, extorts entire nations, and then goes to war to cover up his son's wrongdoings in that particular nation? That's some character.
He's a character. All
We're
right.
literally in a hot war with Russia to protect Hunter Biden. That's literally
And he ain't worth protecting.
And to determine whether or not this
The only reason old Joe wants to stay in power, other than the fact that he's a power, I mean, he has wanted the presidency since the 70s.
Yeah.
And Jill has wanted it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
And for all intents and purposes, Jill is president.
That's a scary thought.
You did so good, Joe!
Thank you, Alice.
all the
Alice Cooper, who
questions!
she bears a
Oh
strong
my
resemblance to.
God. Poor Alice.
Constitution is employed the right way.
Let me ask you a tougher, more personal question.
That you're not going to
Are you
answer.
sure you're being honest with yourself when you say you have the mental and physical capacity to serve another 4 years?
Yes, I am, because, George, the last thing I want to do is not be able to meet that. I think, as some of the senior economists and senior foreign policy specialists say, if I stop now, I go down in history as a pretty successful president. No one thought I could get done what we got done.
But are you being
No one thought you could destroy the nation as fast as you have.
And you did. Congratulations,
but you did.
Joseph.
Congratulations.
honest with yourself as well about your ability to defeat Donald Trump right now?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
You say that, and let me challenge you,
Sure.
because you were close but behind going into the debate. You're further behind now by any measure. It's been a two-man race for several months. Inflation has come down. In
It
those
has?
last few
'Cause
months,
we
you've
haven't
been
experienced
actually
it.
selling. Yet you're still falling further behind.
You guys keep saying that. George, you know polling better than anybody. Do you think polling data is accurate as it used to be?
Of course it isn't. That's why you're president, jerk. I'm sorry, did I say that too loud?
Well, the reason I paused here is because when he's down in the polls, he's like, oh, polling's not accurate and blah, blah, blah. But the nanosecond he shows even a half of a percentage point coming up, look at what the polls say. See, I'm the better one. I'm the...
Well, I gotta, to be fair, he's a professional politician, and all politicians do that.
I don't think so, but I think when you look at all of the polling data right now, it shows that he's certainly ahead in the popular vote.
I don't believe polling data
even
anyway.
more ahead in the battleground states. And one of the other key factors there
What
is
is
it
that
shows
look?
that in
He's
many
exhausted.
of the battleground states, the Democrats who are running for Senate and the House are doing better than you are.
Well, that's not unusual in some states. But I carried an awful lot of Democrats last time I ran in 2020. Look, I remember them telling me the same thing in 2020. I can't win. The polls show I can't win. Remember 2020, the red wave was coming. Before the vote, I said, that's not going to happen. We're going to win. We did better in an off year than
Yeah, we
almost
didn't
any
get a red
incumbent
wave. I am
president ever
still
has done.
blown away
They said
by
in
how few
2023,
people
all the
voted.
tough races, we're not going to win. I went
There
into
was
all
no
those
red
areas,
wave,
all
and that's
those-
the thing
all
is
those districts. And we won.
Republicans are do nothing.
All that is true, but 2020 was a
wimps.
close race. And your approval rating has dropped significantly since then. I think the last poll I saw is about 36%. The number of Americans who think you're too old to serve has doubled since 2020. Wouldn't a clear-eyed political calculus tell you that it's going to be much tougher to win in 2024?
The best thing Biden could do for this nation, if he really, really cares about the country, the best thing he could do is step down. But he
That
won't,
is what-
because that's not his gig. He doesn't care about the country. He cares about Joe Biden.
Well, yeah, and George is on to the nonsense because the New York Times, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Washington Post, all of these reliably democratic news organizations,
News and quoting marks.
news rags, are saying he should step down. But they've got a problem.
Because if he steps down, we're stuck with...
Not necessarily. They're saying that Kamala needs to be brushed aside too. And
But you can't. They painted themselves into a corner.
No.
You can't skip over the diversity hire.
Oh,
She checks
shucky darn.
all of the bigot boxes.
So
cannot
we're
skip
going to
over
have
her.
somebody who brays like a hyena and is less intelligent than Joe Biden,
Which is
less
really hard to
intelligent
do.
than Dan Quayle, less intelligent than George W. Bush, less intelligent than, well, pretty much the dumbest human being who's ever been running for
George W.
president.
Bush actually had a really high IQ. That was an act.
What?
George W. Bush actually had a really high IQ. That was an act.
I'll check that. But
I think he's in the top 10 of the most intelligent presidents.
yeah, either
Biden
way, it
doesn't
wouldn't
even
surprise
make
me.
the top. How many presidents have we had?
No, he's number 46. So
Yeah, so Biden's not even in the top 46 of
well,
intellects.
Not when you're running against a pathological liar.
So that means Trump will win because
Takes
you
one to know
are
one, booby.
a pathological liar, Biden.
Not when he hadn't been challenged in a way that he's about to be challenged. Not when people...
You've had months to challenge him.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure I had much,
Bingo.
but I was also doing a hell of a lot of other things.
Like what?
Wars around the world.
Like not going to Maui for several weeks while they were in pain, like not going to New Palestine while they're being chemically, like
poisoned. Yeah.
checking your watch during the dignified transfers, or not even bothering to go to dignified transfers. Oh, and then standing on that debate stage looking directly in the camera and saying that no service people have lost their lives during your entire presidency. Do you know how those Gold Star families feel? Do you think a single one of them are going to vote for his sorry butt?
No.
I
honestly believe
And-
if he
and-
stays
and then
in, he's going to get trounced.
And then he tried to perpetuate the losers and suckers lie, an absolute hoax, verifiably untrue. He's still trying to do the whole thing that Trump didn't show up in the French
yeah,
cemetery.
yeah.
He did. There's footage of it. Dude, do
It's
you not know
unbelievable.
that
This is
that
unbelievable.
video exists?
This is torture.
It really is.
Keeping NATO together. Like working... Anyway.
Another anyway.
Another anyway.
If it was a drinking game, man, I'd be soused by now.
Do you really believe you're not behind right now?
I think it's... all the pollsters I talk to tell me it's a toss-up.
All the pollsters he talks to.
The pollsters
No,
don't
Joe,
talk to you. If they
it's okay.
talk to
You're-
you, wouldn't that kind of skew
As they
things
pat
up?
you on the head and give you an ice cream cone. Oh, Joe, it's okay. You're just they probably talk to him exactly like his wife does. You did it, Joe. You answered the question. Oh,
School's
you're
out for
just
summer.
fine. It's a dead even heat in the post. You're gonna do just fine, Joey. Boo. Now you go stand in the corner, and I'm gonna be over here running the country into the ground.
It's a toss-up. And when I'm behind, there's only one poll I'm really far behind. CBS poll and NBC, and
New York Times and NBC both have you
Yeah,
about
they-
6 points behind in the popular vote.
that's exactly right. New York Times had me behind before anything having to do with this race. Had me behind 10 points. 10 points had me behind. Nothing's changed substantially in the debate. The New York
I have
Times
no
poll.
idea what the man's saying.
Just, when you look at the reality, though, Mr. President, I mean, you won the popular vote in 2020, but it was
No.
still deadly close in the Electoral
By 7
College.
million votes.
Yes, but you're behind now in the popular vote.
I don't buy that.
He didn't win the popular vote. Vote printer go burr. And at 3:00 in the morning, all of a sudden, he took a big giant leap. Yeah, nobody's buying it, Joe. And you look at him and he knows it's not true. He knows it on some level. Somewhere in that Swiss cheese brain of his, he knows it's not true.
I know.
Is it worth the risk?
I don't think anybody's more qualified to be president or win this race than me.
You know, the heart of your
And they call Trump an egomaniac. What are your qualifications, Joe? You've literally accomplished nothing in your entire life except suckling off the government's teat. That's all you've done. You expanded the government. You made everything worse. Nobody likes him, too. Everybody who works with him can't stand the man.
case against Donald Trump is that he's only out for himself, putting his personal interest ahead of the national interest. How do you respond to critics?
See, that's the stupidest take on Trump I've ever seen, because Trump could just say, you know what, screw y'all, I'm going to go back to Mar-a-Lago and I'm going to retire in peace.
Peace out.
Yeah, the only reason they are trying to ruin him, and it would all stop if he would just give up.
Yeah.
And he could. And pretty much any other person would.
Yeah.
And the more they do to him, the more you realize these people are vile. They're evil. And no wonder he wants to continue to run, because at some point you've got to say, okay, somebody somewhere's got to stand up to these monsters. Because if everybody backs down, they're going to keep doing this until we don't have a country anymore.
He's not going to win.
He didn't win last time.
Well, no, he's really not going to win.
They're going to install him like a cheap toilet. They are so confident that they're going to win that they're still running Joe Biden.
I know.
How confident in your cheating abilities do you have to have that be your candidate?
No. He was in the middle of asking a question. I don't know.
Who say that by staying in the race, you're doing the same thing?
Yeah. Oh, he's not going to whisper.
Well, I don't think those critics know what they're talking about.
They're just wrong?
It's wrong. Look, Trump is a pathological liar. Trump is, he is... Have you ever seen anything Trump did that benefited somebody else, not him?
Yep. Lots of times.
You can't answer, I know.
There's a whole website devoted to it.
His allies as persistently as any journalist has.
There's literally an entire website devoted to it. There are people that Trump has touched because he doesn't go around bragging about it. He doesn't go around bragging about it, but there are people. For instance, when he reached out to the family of a fallen soldier, which Biden does not do. He does not do phone calls. He doesn't reach out. He sends the boilerplate letter, and it's not even signed. And there's Gold Star family after Gold Star family after Gold Star family that have come forward and said this. You can look it up, easy to find. He doesn't call them. Sometimes he doesn't even show up to the dignified. Most of the time he doesn't even show up. When he does, he's checking his watch. He's got better places to be, pudding time, whatever. He sends well, he doesn't even send it. His staff sends a letter. He doesn't even sign it. It's just printed. Trump personally called them. And then the guy was joking about how he actually called his wife again to see how she was doing and then called her a third time. The President of the United States of America called a citizen 3 times.
Because their child paid the ultimate price.
Just to chat with them and make sure they were okay.
That's...
Trump's been known to help people out of financial situations. Trump, up until he came down that escalator and announced, he had won awards from the NAACP. All the black community loved him.
The black community is turning back around and loving him again.
Well, yeah. I can't believe they were just gaslit so hard.
They were fooled.
So hard.
They were fooled.
And
the black vote's going to be
if
what
you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black. You know that, right?
Yeah. The black vote's
I'm not being critical. I'm not being critical.
What?
But look,
yes, you are.
The man is a congenital liar.
A congenital liar?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah. It means it's built into his system. It's like he can't help himself.
He lies like herpes?
That's genital, not congenital. Ay. This is what I got to live with, folks.
They can't see you gesticulate, dude. I don't...
Congenital.
I thought it meant you were born with it. However, relating to a condition that is present at birth as a result of either heredity or environmental influences. So he said the man was born with the disorder.
He's a born
of lying.
liar. He's just it's built, it's wired into him.
Says the guy who has been lying since the 1970s. He lied about literally he even lies about little inconsequential things.
I know.
He probably lies about what he had for lunch just because he can.
Yeah.
He lied about his college. He lied about his grades. He lied about... He graduated, 85th in a class
85th in a course of 87. I don't know. Just really...
No, it was really...
Really
in
the bottom third, okay, to be accurate. The bottom third.
He did not get a Fulbright scholarship. He still says he did. He did not talk to the train conductor. The dude was dead for years. Corn Pop did not exist. There is no Corn Pop, and I'm sure that if there were, he would have come forward by now. He even lied about how his first wife died. He lied about how he met his second wife. They knew each other, according to her ex-husband, they knew each other well before his first wife died and well before they were divorced. He's literally lied about everything. Every little tiny detail about this man is a lie. And it's not just that we don't like him. It's a fact that is verifiable by looking, for instance, his stutter. He's never had a stutter. You go back and you look at him shouting the N-word on
He didn't stutter with that one.
He didn't stutter. There was no stutter. They made up the stutter to cover for his cognitive decline. You have been gaslit by the entire... What is this administration? What do you want to call this cabal? The media was in on it too, and now all of a sudden that they're
turning on him because they want to dump
Toto
him.
pulled the screen back, and now we've got to pretend like this is new to us.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this since 2018.
Yeah,
he was in cognitive Don't you remember the memes when he was vice president?
Yeah,
he was in cognitive decline then.
Those memes with him and Obama cracked me up.
Do not compare him to Reagan. Reagan wasn't even diagnosed until he was long out of office. If one more person tries to compare him to Reagan, such a ridiculous comparison. Not even close.
As I said, they pointed out in that debate he lied 27, 28 times the times or whatever.
So that's about 1/10 of the lies that you told Joe, and I bet you 90% of those lies were just hyperbole.
Number over 20 times. Talk about how good his economy was, how he brought down inflation, how
he did.
This is a guy who, unlike only other president other than him, is Hoover, lost more jobs than he created.
COVID dipstick.
It's like, did he forget what that was? Did he forget what COVID was?
No, he'll bring it up in a minute.
This is a guy who told us to put bleach in our arms.
Are you freaking kidding me with the bleach? Hoax! That is a hoax!
But Trump's the liar now.
He's talking, he literally lies about the lie. That is a verifiable, on video, you can go look at it, hoax. First of all, it wasn't intravenous. Second of all, it wasn't bleach. And third of all, he never said it! He never said it!
It's true.
My God!
Deal with COVID with over a million people
I told
died.
you mentioned COVID.
This is a guy
who 1 million people died because they injected bleach in their veins because Trump told them to.
Yeah.
That's what he just said.
Something
just said.
Something along the lines, yeah.
Because Trump's a big fat liar. He's a big fat orange liar head.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Talks about wanting to get rid of the healthcare provision we put in place. This is
No,
a
he
guy
didn't.
who wants to give the power back to big pharma to be able to charge exorbitant prices.
No. This is the guy that actually had negotiated the prices down, and then you executive ordered it away. You did that, Joe.
For drugs. This is the guy who wants to undo every single thing I've done.
Yeah, and we do too. We, the people of the United States of America, also want to undo every moronic, idiotic, tyrannical, stupid thing that you've done, Joe. We do. We, the voters.
Ginger snaps.
A little bit.
Every single thing.
I understand that. I understand that's why you want to stay in the race. But if you convinced yourself that only you can defeat him,
I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him. I know how to get things done.
No, you don't.
If you can be
done.
convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
No. That was the exact... No? God, what a stupid question.
Depends if the Lord Almighty comes out and tells me that, I might do that.
No, you wouldn't.
I mean, on a more practical
Burst into
level, Washington
flames.
Post just reported in the last hour that Senator Mark Warner is assembling a group of senators together to try and convince you to stand down because they don't think you can win.
Well, Mark is a good man. We've never had that. He also tried to get the nomination too. Mark and I have a different perspective. I respect him.
And if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy
They won't.
Pelosi come down and say,
won't.
we're
They
worried
won't.
that if you stay in the race, we're going to lose the House and the
No,
Senate,
because they'd be stuck with
how will you
Kamala.
respond?
I go into detail with them. I've spoken to all of them in detail, including Jim Clyburn. Every one of them. They all said I should stay in the race. Stay in the race. None of the people said I should leave.
But if they do,
Well, it's like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
you sure?
How preposterous.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that.
I mean,
Do you know the dirt I have on that broad? Nancy would go away for life.
if the Lord Almighty came out and said, Joe, get out of the race, I'll get out of the race. The Lord Almighty's not coming down. I mean, these type of
Lord Almighty, that's all I got to say about this interview.
The Lord Almighty's not coming down. So he basically just admitted he doesn't believe in God.
I think that was just a gaffe. But actions speak louder than words, pal.
He knows better. He knows better than God. He knows better than God.
hypotheticals, George. If all...
But it's not that hypothetical anymore. I grant that they have not requested the meeting, but it's been reported.
I've met with them. I've met with a lot of these people. I've talked with them regularly. I had an hour conversation with Hakeem. I had more time than that with Jim Clyburn. I spent time with many hours, off and on, the last little bit, with Chuck Schumer. It's not like I had all the governors. All the governors.
All of the governors.
Yeah,
had all
he
the
did.
governors.
He did meet with Democratic governors.
No, he said all of them.
I agree that the Lord Almighty is not going to come down, but if
See, I don't. You don't know that. Lord Almighty could come down. I mean, he is the Lord Almighty.
He could, but
You
even
can't rule that out.
even if God came down with all of his angels,
Yeah, Biden
and
would
said,
say, I'm taking a cognate. It's like you having to take a cocaine test. Look at that face.
yeah, I know.
if you are told
I keep thinking that the video is frozen, but that's just his face.
reliably from your allies, from your friends and supporters in the Democratic Party, in the House and the Senate, that they're concerned you're going to lose the House and the Senate. if
He
you stay
doesn't
in, what would
blink.
you do?
He
I'm not going to
blinked.
answer that question. It's not going to happen.
What's your plan to turn the campaign around?
Saw it today. How many people do you get draw crowds like I drew today?
Crowds
I
like
drew
dozens, even
dozens.
tens of people show up for his.
I've drawn crowds bigger than that selling bottled water on the strip. I've drawn.
I know.
I mean,
It's nothing.
You find me any more enthusiastic than today? Huh?
I mean, I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. There's no question about that.
I can draw a big crowd, but what does he say? Who's he have? I'm the guy supposed to
he
be in
has
trouble.
more than half the
We
nation.
raised $38 million within 4 days after this. We have over 1 million individual contributors.
No, you don't.
Less than $200. Yeah, I mean, I've not seen what you're proposing.
You haven't seen the fall off in the polls. You haven't seen the reports of discontent
No,
in the
they're
Democratic Party,
shielding
House
him.
Democrats.
Look at him. He
Senate
has no
Democrats.
idea.
I've seen it from the press.
Nobody tells him.
You know, I've heard from dozens of your supporters over the last few days, and a variety of views. I grant you that. But the prevailing sentiment is this. They love you. And they will be forever grateful to you for defeating Donald Trump in 2020. They think you've done a great job as president, a lot of the successes you outlined. But they are worried about you and the country, and they don't think you can win. They want you to go with grace, and they will cheer you if you
He's
do.
not going to go with
What do you
grace.
say to that?
I say the vast majority are not where those folks are. I
You
don't
are
doubt there's some
so
folks there.
delusional, pal.
Have you
Yeah.
ever seen a group at time when elected officials running for office aren't a little worried? Have you ever seen that? I've not. Same thing happened in 2020. Oh, Biden, I don't know, man. What's he going to do?
Because in 2020, everybody already knew you were in cognitive decline because we saw that during the Obama years. It's just gotten really
much more
obvious.
You have to be putting on severe blinders to not see. This guy won't make it an extra 6 months.
No. I mean, he's hopped up on God knows what, right, in this during this interview. I mean, he actually did surprisingly well. He was mostly lucid through most of it.
Yeah,
Mr. President, I've never seen a president at 36% approval get reelected.
Well, I don't believe that's my approval. That's not what our polls show.
That's not what it is. Now, I have my own polls.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected,
I asked my wife, and I asked my sister, and I asked my mommy, and they all said that I'm a winner.
I asked my son, the smartest man I know.
The smartest man I know.
He woke up out of his alcohol-crazed stupor.
Snorted some Parmesan out of the carpet. As soon as he got his naked niece off of him, he stumbled into the bathroom.
Yeah. Everything you're warning about comes to pass. How will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about. Look, George.
No, it's not. That is not what it's about. The nation that you have brought to its knees. I'll get a participation trophy.
You've heard me say this before. I think the United States and the world is at an inflection point. Where the things that happen in the next several years are going to determine what the next 6-7 decades look like.
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to be able to hold NATO together like me? Who's going to be able to be in a position where...
I would vote for the guy that's going to get out of NATO.
Yeah. I don't want us to be... I'm as much respect as I have for organizations like the UN and NATO and all that. I don't think any country should tell another country what to do.
I also don't think that any country should have to pay for the military of every other country on the planet.
No.
Like we do.
We do.
We do not put America first. We put every other frickin' country. And if we can't give our money to them, we just import their people here.
There you go.
I'm able to keep the Pacific Basin in a position where we're at least checkmating China now.
You're going to hand them Taiwan. They're going to take it any second now.
Who's going to do that? Who has that reach? Who knows all these? We're going to have, I guess, a good way to judge me is you're going to have now the NATO conference here in the United States next week. Come listen. See what they say.
If you're awake the whole time.
Mr. President, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
But your friend...
That was painful.
That was painful.
Okay. So, my favorite part of the entire debate, I think this was the one.
Continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more.
Look at how Trump's yelling the whole time.
Yeah,
President Trump.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
That's my favorite part of the whole.
Joe's reaction is priceless.
Yeah.
Joe,
honey.
the right thing to do is to step down. I know you won't do it, and I'm glad.
Yeah, Joe's. And here's the thing: if they do try to invoke
the 25th.
Yeah. If they try, I say all Republicans should vote no. All Republicans to say, no, he's the perfect candidate. You've been telling us this for 5 years now. Why would we vote no I believe in you, Joe. You can do it, Joe. Joe Biden, 2024.
Oh,
you go, Joe.
Boy.
I think all Republicans should get behind Joe. I think they really should. Okay. I don't know about you, but I need to go throw up now.
Yeah, I think I threw up a little bit in my mouth. It was not fun.
It was no.
He's low hanging fruit. I mean, he always has been, but now it's like
it's like I said or tweeted multiple times. I actually felt sorry for him for a while. what they're doing to him is absolutely elder abuse. I did feel sorry for, but the more I got to know who he is, and the more I learned about his past, and the more I learned what kind of man he is, he deserves it. I just wish he were alert enough to suffer.
Yeah, he's not, though.
Unfortunately, he's checked out. He has delusions of grandeur, and he thinks he's doing great. And everybody's patting him on the head and giving him pudding cups and hiding the truth from him. You know, the polls say this and the polls say that. They're not even telling him the truth. And, you know, you get what you pay for, Democrats. You get what you pay for. All right, folks, I think that's enough. My stomach is quite sour.
Let's move on,
Let's
please.
move on, please.
CounterCultureWISE is proud to present News of the Weird and Wonderful. Here are your hosts, Melanie Hope and Jim Monis.
We are going way back.
Way back.
This is a cool story. I've always been fascinated by the Civil War, or as it seems to be, the first Civil War.
The first, yeah.
Anyway, more on that later. More than 160 years after they were captured and executed by Confederate rebels, 2 U.S. soldiers are set to be posthumously, really? Of course it's going to be posthumous. They've been dead for 160 years.
Well, now, consider the current president. They could very well be in office.
Okay, yeah, we have a posthumous president. Never mind. Posthumously recognized.
Oh my God, we're going to call him the posthumous POTUS. I'm going to make a t-shirt. I love that.
Recognized for their valor during the Civil War with the Medal of Honor. Privates Philip Shadrach and George Wilson will be recognized for their actions in 1862 when they, alongside 20 other Union soldiers and 2 civilians, infiltrated rebel territory and stole a train.
Like a choo-choo, chugga-chugga?
A chugga-chugga choo-choo. Taking it northward and destroying as much of the train tracks, bridges, and other key logistical infrastructure as they could. It was a mobile raid over roughly 200 miles during the course of a week, while they were constantly pursued by Confederates. They're turning around going, yeah.
Ballsy.
Posthumous President Joe Biden is set to present the medals to the soldiers' descendants at the White House on Wednesday. Shadrach and Wilson's awards were approved by Congress in 2008, but the ceremony kept getting shifted and is eventually forgotten about.
Why?
I have no idea. I guess other things came into focus. The raid is known as the Great Locomotive Chase and was meant to cripple Confederate logistics and severely restrict where Southern troops could fight, as trains were the key means of supplying the front lines. In particular, the mission was to obliterate train tracks, bridges, and telegraph wires between Atlanta, Georgia, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. Today, the Medal of Honor is the highest award for valor in the military. However, during the Civil War, it was the only award for valor, and members of the locomotive raid became its very first recipients. Union soldiers, including Shadrach and Wilson of the 2nd Ohio Volunteer Infantry Regiment, snuck behind enemy lines and captured a train called the General in Atlanta when its crew stopped for lunch, and were quickly pursued by William Fuller, the conductor of the captured train, by handcar. Fuller would eventually take control. If this has not been made into a movie, it has to happen. Anyway, Fuller would eventually take control of another train to pursue the Union soldiers during their raid. Roughly 18 miles outside of Chattanooga.
That must have been a harrowing chase with all those corners and turns.
Me no get it.
Because they're both on tracks. You can't turn or go anywhere. It's
that's true. They were all captured within 2 weeks, including Shadrach and Wilson, and 6 were imprisoned for about a year and eventually freed in prisoner exchanges. 8 of them, including Shadrach and Wilson, were hanged in Atlanta.
Oh my.
But a handful of others did manage to escape and, traveling hundreds of miles on foot, made it back to Union lines. That took some guts. The soldiers who returned were rewarded the new at the time Medal of Honor, First Lieutenant Jacob Parrott, who was severely tortured as a prisoner of war, became the very first recipient.
Wow.
They were also offered commissions to serve as officers by the Union Secretary of War, Edwin Stanton. At least one Parrott took that commission offer. That's pretty amazing.
So, if everybody got the awards, how come these two didn't?
They must have been forgotten about.
This poor guy. He looks like he's swearing with all the social media on his face.
I know. That's kind of sucks.
I just hate that. That's so.
They could have put it above, but it's like he said something mean and they didn't. They want to post it on Facebook.
So
Very
rude.
odd.
So rude.
Anywho, that's the story of that.
From stealing trains to saving puppies.
I always save the saving puppies stories for the wife because she digs that stuff.
Puppies. They're so cute, puppies. Okay. Whoa, what just happened? Something funny happened. Okay, here we go. Saving puppies. Saving puppies. Okay. 2 deputies in the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office rescued 8 abandoned puppies left in a crate in a field under the scorching Texas sun. Why? Why would you do that? The temperature soared to a blistering 100 degrees when a concerned Good Samaritan spotted the helpless puppies and called for help. I hope they find this son of a
bunny biscuit eater.
Mm-hmm. Deputies Colin Stephenson and Haley Drew swiftly responded to the call, arriving at the scene to find the 6-week-old German Shepherd puppies without water or shade. Who does that?
Evil.
What kind of
Biden voters? I don't know.
Biden voters. I don't know how long.
I'm playing you tonight.
Yeah. Okay, somebody's gotta. I don't know how long they were out. I'm guessing a day or two. Those poor babies. They were just a bunch of puppies with no water in a field, added Drew, emphasizing the urgency of their rescue. They look really poorly, and oh my gosh, they're so cute. Moved by the plight of the puppies, Deputy Stevenson decided to adopt one of the little ones himself. Yay! The remaining puppies were taken to the Chuck and Brenda Silix Animal Care and Adoption Center, where they received the care and attention they needed.
Excellent.
Maybe they'll be police doggies.
That'd be cool.
In a joyful update, the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office announced on Facebook that all of the puppies have since been adopted into loving homes. Yay! All puppies have found placements. Puppies and placements. Thank you to everyone playing a crucial role in finding these puppies a safe, loving environment. Oh, I'm so glad they made it. Babies. I can't even imagine what kind of just heartless. I mean, I don't get it. How can somebody be so incredibly just awful?
Yeah, it's not good. Not good. I think this next story... Oh, by the way, folks, just another reminder. Come to our store. Buy our stuff.
Buy our crap.
Leave us a 500-star review, or if you think we stink, just leave us 5. We'll be happy with that.
Well,
we'll live with
that's
it.
more insulting than like a 1 or 2, because that's just like everybody does that. If you really want to insult us, leave us 5-star, and we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll understand where you're coming from. And of course, if you do have any complaints or we've offended you in any way, head on over to CounterCultureWISE.com and click on the button to fill out the ID10T form. We will give it the attention that it deserves. But hey, while you're there, check out our books, check out our merch, check out all the other fun ways you can send us dough. Please send us dough.
Buy our garbage. Come on, buy the stuff.
Buy kibble for our kitties.
And beer for my lips. Here we go.
We don't call it the beer fund anymore.
No, we don't, because there's more important things. I know I just spoke blasphemy for some people.
Okay, you're going to read this one for me.
Yes, this took...
Roller coaster of emotions.
Man visiting graveyard as crazy happy ending.
Okay.
Interesting. Graveyards are often seen as solemn and quiet places.
I love graveyards.
They are. Some of them are beautiful. The ones in this photo is nice.
Yeah, this one's beautiful.
But they can also be the setting for the most unexpected and unplanned events.
And if you believe in ghosts, I guess. Kind of not my gig, but...
This series of tweets from a husband/father takes you on a wild journey, a true roller coaster of emotions.
I'm going to have to find this guy.
Post 1. My dad died. Classic start to a funny story.
Yeah, I'm laughing so hard internally.
He was buried in a small village in Sussex. I'm not going to do a British accent for this. Man. I was really close to my dad. No, I was really close to my dad, so I visited his grave a lot. I still do. Don't worry. It gets funnier.
Funnier than that?
Yep.
Low bar. Off you go.
Nice, but I felt bad for the guy buried next to my dad. He never had flowers. Died on Christmas Day, age 37.
You skipped a whole bunch. You don't worry, it gets funnier. And then
oh, sorry. Nice. Some of it disappeared on my screen.
Oh.
Let me go ahead and read it from yours.
Okay.
Let me start from where I'm supposed to be. I always took flowers, and my mum visited a lot, and she always took flowers. My grandparents were still alive then, and they always took flowers. My dad's grave frequently resembled a solid third place at the Chelsea Flower Show. Nice, but I felt bad for the guy buried next to my dad. He never had flowers. Died on Christmas Day, age 37. No one left him flowers, and now there's a pop-up florist in the grave next door. So I started buying him flowers, now in caps. I started buying flowers for a deceased man I'd never met. I did this for quite some time, but I never mentioned it to anyone. It was a little private joke with myself. I was making the world a better place, one bunch of flowers at a time.
It's really sweet.
It is sweet. I know it sounds weird, but I came to think of him as a friend.
Aw.
That's cool. I wondered if there was a hidden connection between us, something secretly drawing me to him. Maybe we went to the same school, played for the same football club or whatever. So I Googled his name, and 10 seconds later I found him.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot see this, but Jim, the consummate actor, is gesticulating as if he's in front of an audience. It's quite a sight to behold.
It is a sight to behold.
If he wasn't in nothing but his underwear, it would really be...
Snitch. Anyway, so I Googled his name, and 10 seconds later I found him. His wife didn't leave him flowers because he'd murdered her on Christmas Day.
Oh my gosh!
After he murdered his wife, he murdered her parents too.
What?
And after that, he jumped in front of the only train going through Balcombe Tunnel that Christmas night.
Is this for real?
This is supposed to be a funny story. I don't know.
I'm not laughing.
That was why no one ever left him flowers. No one except me, of course.
He left flowers for a murderer.
I left him flowers. I left him flowers every couple of weeks. Every couple of weeks for 2.5 years.
I felt murderer flowers.
I felt terrible for his wife and her parents. Now I wasn't going to leave them flowers every couple of weeks or 2.5 years.
Why not?
I don't know. Feels like a waste, I guess. But I did feel like I owed them some sort of apology.
Well, yeah.
I found out where they were buried, bought flowers, and drove to the cemetery. Guy's a little weird. Anyway, as I was standing at their graves...
It's his way of giving back to the world.
Okay, fair enough. Just as this show is our way of giving back to the world.
Sure.
As I was standing at their graves mumbling apologies, a woman appeared behind me. She wanted to know who I was and why I was leaving flowers for her aunt and grandparents. Awkward. I explained and she said...
Did he tell the whole story?
Yeah.
Okay.
I explained and she said, okay, that's weird, but quite sweet. I said, thanks. Yes, it is a bit weird and oh God. I asked her out for a drink. Incredibly, very incredibly, she said yes. 2 years later, she said yes again when I asked her to marry me because that is how I met my wife.
Oh my goodness! So many twists and turns. I love
it.
This
was
story.
A roller coaster.
I love
Indeed.
This story. I liked how she could just look over how it was kind of creepy and yet really, really sweet. And once he found out he wanted to make amends, I don't know. I hope they're still married. That's a really, really sweet story.
And then he... Never mind.
And now, shh. It says end. Do you see where it says end? It says end. I'm happy with end.
End is good.
End is good. Speaking of end.
What?
I think we need to go to the Tale of Modern Terror.
Oh.
You know, since Teflon Don has gotten so many convictions, I think we'll talk about that a little bit, folks. So stay tuned.
Gather round, boys and ghouls, for another Tale of Modern Horror. Our story begins in a closed-door emergency meeting of the DNC, where all the big players are brainstorming new ways to stop Teflon Don. All right, everyone, settle down. All right. Thank you all for meeting today. As you know, none of the Soros lawfare has worked to stop Donald Trump from being on the ballot this fall. We worked too hard to get Joe in, and we can't let the voters actually decide for themselves, or we'd have to actually become a viable government. We're running out of time. We've got to figure out how to disqualify him, or his voters might just sneak another one past us. Mr. President, you said you had an idea?
I was going to put him of Putin's kleptocracy. This legislative package strengthens our law enforcement capability. Yeah.
That's an astute observation, sir. Ah, look at the bunny. See the bunny? His hair smells like strawberries.
Nazi fags.
There you go. Take Mr. Bunny over there, sir. Good president. Good boy.
I'm the only white boy within 20 miles.
Good boy. Okay, back to the discussion. The Supreme Court wickedly upheld the Constitution even after all the subtle threats we sent to their families. If they won't allow the states to dictate who the people are allowed to vote for, how do we circumvent that?
I say we just off the effort.
Who let Nancy get into the vodka again?
It's water. I'm a teetotaler.
Sure, Nancy. Okay, as much as we'd like to, we can't kill him. He would just become a martyr, and it would make everything infinitely worse. Now that he's got a mugshot and sweet kicks, we would be facing another George Floyd scenario, and we need those guys to vote for us like they're told to. We've got to do this on the down low so his followers won't revolt.
Boating accident?
What did I just say?
Plane crash? Snake bite? Poisoned Diet Coke?
Those are all just ways of killing him. Mitch, turn off Nancy's mic.
I'll say you got it, boss.
Guillotine. Okay, no one, actually, likes him. Steamroller accident.
So why don't we just call him a bunch of names and stuff so they, will just not, want to vote for him anymore?
Take full of radish.
Yes, we can keep hammering how racist he is and that he actually said he won't genocide the Jews. Can you believe that Nazi scum?
That hasn't been working for years now. People are starting to see him as human again. Even with the press fully on our side, some Democrats are starting to defect. We've got to do something so drastic that there is absolutely, positively no way Trump can ever be president again.
Scorpions in his bed.
Permission to address the chair?
Push him off a cliff.
Well, we usually don't let interns speak, but we're desperate, so what have you got?
So let's say that we let him win.
Firing squad.
Seriously? That's literally the opposite of what we're trying to do.
Strapped to a log in a shop.
I know. That's the genius of this plan. Seriously, walk with me on this one. I think it might work. Okay, so while all of the election stuff is going on, we very publicly and very transparently launch an exhaustive investigation into the 2020 election. You know, that investigation we'd never done because it was just too easy to say that anyone who doubted us is an insurrectionist.
Yeah, no one is buying that anymore.
Right. Well, let's just tell them the truth.
No way. Overdose him on ivermectin.
What are you saying? Are you insane?
No, hear me out. We let Trump stay on the ballot. He wins. 2 or 3 days before he's inaugurated, we release the full report in a hugely public way. Globally.
That's stupid. He'd, have won and everything, and then everyone would, know, what we did on top of it and stuff. That's
How about
stupid.
those lasers that we used in Maui?
No, it's brilliant. I see exactly what you're saying. It would work. Guys, this would work.
I don't
get it.
Just tie him to the rack. My husband's got one in the bedroom.
Okay, let me explain. We can all act surprised when our investigation concludes with finding that Trump did, in fact, win in 2020. All the mail-in ballots and machine debauchery that we've been saying was a conspiracy theory can just be admitted to. We can say that there was a big CIA cover-up, yeah. We can throw them under the bus. They don't care because they ain't going anywhere.
Right. Then we make a big deal about apologizing to him and his followers. We reinstall him as the rightful sitting president for the final 1 to 2 days, which immediately disqualifies him from winning in 2024 because a president can only serve 2 terms.
My God, this is better than killing him.
Says you.
Well, it looks like Teflon Don will live to fry another day. Tune in next time for another tale of modern horror.
Heck, McDonald's French fries will probably take him out. Hey, we could have him scalped by an Indian. How about you, Kamala? We could sell tickets to have it shot out of a cannon. Hey, Biden, aren't your dogs rabid? Let's stick them on him. Let's send the fat bastard running with the bulls in Pamplona. Have him hang out with a Baldwin on a movie set. That'll take care of him.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to enjoy today's interview. I am here with my sweet babu, Mr. James Monis, and author and former teacher, Mr. Dan Granger, the author of the book, Why Is Sam So Sad? Before we begin, Dan, why don't you tell everybody how folks can find you on the interwebs?
Sure. I actually have a website, Dan, D-A-N, /Granger .com, believe it or not. And then you can also find my book at Amazon and Barnes & Noble or wherever fine books are sold.
Excellent. We will have all of those links up on CounterCultureWISE.com right underneath this interview. Well, let's just jump right on into it, Dan. First of all, for folks who may not be familiar, what is SAD?
Yeah, so SAD is when there is no depression, or SAD is when there's depression because of lack of sun, and 5% of the population in the world deals with it, and there's millions of Americans that deal with it. Mm-hmm. And the worst time is between between January and February. It happens during the winter and the fall months, the beginning of the fall and the winter, when the sun goes away more often, and then during the fall, and like I said, during January and February, you don't have Christmas or anything left to look forward to, and that's kind of where the depression kicks in the worst.
Right, and SAD stands for Seasonal Affective Disorder, correct?
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Seasonal affective disorder. So it's during a season that people are affective, right, and there's a disorder.
So up here in the northern hemisphere, I'm sure it's opposite in the southern hemisphere. But, so a lot of people think, oh, it's just depression. Snap yourself out of it. Oh, you're not getting enough sun. What's wrong with you? What's the difference between SAD and just having the blues?
Yeah. So SAD is in itself is lack of sunlight and vitamin D in particular. So when sun contacts your skin, it produces vitamin D. And within cloudy days and rainy days and the winter, you don't get as much sun, and therefore people basically hibernate. That's kind of what I think about it when I think of Wisconsin, is we hibernate. And what we do at that point is we eat comfort foods. We sleep in a lot, over than what we should do. Actually, people that with SAD, they sleep in 2.5 extra hours compared to somebody without SAD. And then and then the depression kicks in, and so all of their negative thoughts keep them busy, or their mind busy.
Right. So why can't people just down vitamin D and fix it?
You can, but that's not really what it is. There is really no simple way to deal with it because it's an annual thing. It just comes on often. See, the problem is some people may not even have it, and some people don't even realize that they have it. it takes 2 years in order to actually be clinically labeled as somebody with SAD.
That long
And that's
for
because you have
diagnosis.
to.
That's interesting.
Well, yeah, because you'd have to go through the season.
That's what I found.
You'd have to go through the season
Right,
twice
and that's the
for them
thing.
to- yeah. That makes
Right,
sense.
because it is seasonal.
Mhm.
Right, and that's why. And the thing as far as because it is seasonal, that because it is seasonal, that's it's not really like an issue for the majority of the year, so people don't really think of it, and not excuse me, not a lot of people necessarily get treatment for that
Right.
because it is only seasonal.
Now you are Sam. You are Sam,
Yep,
right?
I am Sam. Sam is me. Yep.
How old were you when you were officially diagnosed?
Okay, so before we talk about since I am Sam, I'll show you. Here's my book. Here's my shirt. You see that?
Yeah.
There you go. And then here's my hat.
That's a happy Sam.
Or yeah, you can see that.
Mhm.
Happy
There's
Sam.
a happy Sam. And when Sam is sad,
Oh, he's a sad Sam.
he doesn't feel very. Yeah, he's a sad Sam. And that these two pictures are actually from the book.
Yeah, I really
But
like
since
the
we're doing an
orange
interview, I'm
branding.
supposed to be happy.
Yeah, let's make him happy.
The illustrations.
Thank you. I like it too.
Yeah, the illustrations in the book are really.
They're really cute. Did you do the drawings?
No, I didn't. That's actually from the company that I have, which is funny that you're saying that because 2 of the reviews that I got were like, these are they just ripped apart the illustrations.
What?
And they were like, well, this is not 3D illustrations and the colors matting is off. And I'm like, okay, I didn't plan on having somebody review it who's an artist.
Right, it's a
And
darling
then
book.
other
it's
people
perfect
reviewed
for
it.
kids. It's perfect for kids. I
No, I thought
the puppy face.
It's
Look at the puppy face. It's cute.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job on that, despite what the critics said. I think it helps illustrate the words perfectly.
Right.
There's a very good marriage of the two.
Oh. So the deal is, when I created the book itself, I was able to, according to my publishing company, which is Christian Faith Publishing, I was able to, in my contract, I got 12 pictures. So then I tried to figure out the pictures that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And then I was able to get even more. I paid off to get more. And then there was only 18 pictures. So people were like, hey, your pictures don't match your paragraph. Well, I'm sorry. I tried as much as I could. The problem is, while I was creating the book, I added on to it. And the very beginning of the bar, well, before I was really happy with the book, Sam kind of sounded like stuck up, I guess, as you can say. And in the end, the last couple pages, when I talked about gratitude, when I talked about doing things for other people and not just being a little complaining kid, it really took shape. And I'm very thankful that I actually, got that extra addition to it, because originally he wasn't. And, I didn't. And then again, this is all research. I had no idea. This was just, as far as when I created this, it was all just research on its own, and why just me trying to think of things to get better. And, how this book got created was crazy. So
I think
we talk about that.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I'm also curious why you chose a children's book.
So I was a teacher for 15 years in Arizona, and then, well, I'm from Wisconsin, so I dealt with this all my life. And then I went to Arizona, and it was non-existent. It was like I came off the flight, and I stepped into Arizona, and where it's hot and sunny, and it's like I almost took off a backpack of just extra weight that I had on me. And then I came back to Wisconsin. And I came back to Wisconsin during COVID. And when I did, I worked at a factory, and I look at a wall for 8 hours a day. When I first came into the factory, we were really busy. So we did, we were working seven days a week, 14 hours a day. And being that, I didn't see the sun rise.
That sounds miserable.
And by the time I left, it was already set. So yes, I took all these. That was one of the worst. I really hit rock bottom as far as depression is concerned, and I actually thought out what I how to leave this world. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And
You're
so
not
I
alone.
took those
You're not alone.
feelings
No.
and I wrote them in a book. Now, there's two things that actually happened. One is I created the book, and two, the other purpose that I had in life is I was on a journey because friends said my best friend, who I've grown up with from junior high, he needed a kidney. So I was on a journey to give him a kidney, and I was not only going to work, but I was going through all the different hospitals and things like that. I burned through my sick days doing that. In fact, one of my birthdays, I had 2 IVs in me at the same time. He currently is okay. I did not the one who gave him a kidney. I have both of mine. But as far as a journey is concerned about giving a kidney, it's supposed to be 6 months. So I have a feeling that fate had something to do with giving me a year and a half trying to do that, as well as the author journey itself.
Wow. So there's so
Yeah,
many
it's a lot
things
to
going
take
on.
in, huh?
Yeah, so many things going on at once. If you could tell young Sam one thing that would help a child in this situation, what would you tell them?
Well, I know when I was growing up, my mom, and this is actually in the book as well, when I was growing up, before I told her anything bad news that I had to tell her when she picked me up, I had to tell her one good thing that happened per day. And my friends would jump in and be like, hey, yeah, we did this today. And she would look at me like, that's 2. I'm like, what? No, hey, I just only 1. Nope. He gave you up. You have this 2. Okay. I did good on my test today. My locker opened when I needed to. I think that's enough. Yeah. Okay. We'll drive and we'll go. But otherwise, she wouldn't even start the ignition.
Oh, wow. That's a good mom. She had you nailed.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, this is, I mean, there's a lot of scholarly papers and magazine articles and books about seasonal affective disorder. This is the first time I've seen it addressed specifically to kids. I think that's wonderful. Because as an adult, you kind of grasp the concept even if you don't have it yourself, but to try to explain it to one of your fellow students, for example, and you're in 3rd grade, well, you know, it's not so easy.
Right. And, you know, he brings up a good point, and this is one of the questions we wanted to ask you is, as a parent or a teacher, how would you recognize that in a kid?
So what it is basically during the depression time, you're pushing away your friends and family, and you are, well, for younger kids, it's basically just like behavioral irritability and actually it's trouble actually putting them to sleep, believe it or not. For teens, it's basically like pushing away their friends and family, and you know, not being a part of the, you know, their extracurricular activities, and so their work goes down. And you know, friends of mine that actually have this, they can attest to that too. I mean, it's surprising how, you know, you can actually bounce back, but your grades do go down during that time.
Right.
You know, I talked to my friend, you know, when he was in college, and we both had the same thing. Yeah, I think I answered that.
Do you think that kids are ever misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder when it could just be sad? I don't want to say just, but you know what I mean.
That I'm not really sure about, and I can't really speak to that because I can only speak to what is gone on with my life.
Sure.
As far as myself, I've never been considered bipolar, but I know in some of the research that I was looking at, sometimes they talked about bipolar, and they talked about anxiety, and they talked about depression, almost like all 3 of them kind of together. Usually depression and anxiety walked hand in hand, which is true. I mean, it's like 2 sides of the coin.
Right. Well, I just there's a part of your book where you talk about how people spoke to you like, why can't you just get over it? Why can't you just snap out of it? And
that's always the
can't.
classic line to people who don't understand.
And I appreciate that you address that from the eyes of a child. It's like, I want to. I wish I could. I mean, even my dog doesn't make me happy. It's like, so You lightly touched on this. I want to go a little bit more into it. Kind of the
Feel free.
gratitude, the place of gratitude where you something good happened to you. As far as kids are concerned, do you think that's effective, and how do you encourage that the gratitude, maybe because we do like a gratitude journal as adults? How do you get kids into that frame of mind?
So there's two things. One, we talked about, that I was forced to give me one thing, one good thing that you had happen today. Otherwise I won't start the car. And then you can complain the rest of the day.
You
For the
get to
rest of the
complain
ride.
the rest of the day. That's funny.
Yeah, the rest of the ride at least. And then another thing that I found during my research is one thing anybody can, while you're in the car, every stoplight that you see, everybody says something good.
Oh.
Everybody says something good they're thankful for.
We should do that as grown-ups.
Yeah, wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of
times I could use that.
There's a lot of cool things that I've learned that aren't necessarily based on, depression, but basically having people be better off. So the other thing you were saying, things that we want to do for children. Wait, can you rephrase the question one more time?
Well, I really like the idea,
apologize.
the concept of gratitude, and I was just wondering how you could encourage.
Yeah, so
you were giving us ways that you could encourage that with kids, which I think are fantastic.
Right. So actually, in my research, Tony Robbins actually says that you can't be fearful and grateful at the same time, and it's just not totally possible. So, and you can't be angry and grateful at the same time. So, one of the things in my research that I found, not necessarily for kids, but you can input it, but the video was kind of more adult. There are two phrases that you can say that stamp out negative thoughts immediately. Granted, when I first learned, I had to, say it about 30 times to get it. I mean, for the one point when you say these two phrases, and I'll explain what they are in 2 seconds. When you say these two phrases, you're brought right back to reality. And by saying that, I mean, when people get depressed, they get weighted down, and their thoughts just bring them to a not very happy place, and during that time, your production of anything you're doing goes downhill. Your concentration goes downhill. And where I work, I know that during the summer I'm more productive than during the winter time. And so anyways, those two phrases and this is on YouTube by Anthony Medver, and the two phrases that they're ancient Sanskrit, believe it or not. How are your thoughts, and how are they behaving?
How are your thoughts,
and so
how are they behaving?
That's profound.
Correct. And so, when during the Christmas, when I found that out, I'm like, okay, well, I'll give it a try. And my thoughts were racing. I'm like, nope. How are your thoughts, and how are they behaving? Another thing I talked about in the book is basically scolding myself not allowing myself to be that way, not allowing my negative thoughts to be there. I believe the phrase I talked about is that I need to remember that it's my sad talking, not me. It's not my sad making my decisions, but me. And that is really good for, I would say, children, adults, or whatever, because you can actually step aside and say, this is something individually. It's not necessarily me. I mean, it is a part of me, not that I want it to be a part of me, but it is a part, and you can set it apart because you don't have to be that way all the time.
Right.
I hope I explained that.
No, you did really
was perfect.
Well. Another thing you mentioned in your book was helping others, and I see this is kind of turned into a mission for you. You mentioned that now you're a special education teacher, so is that part of your journey, do you think?
Basically, I've been a helper. If there's one word to describe me, it would definitely be helper. I've wanted to be a teacher ever since 2nd grade. I was always helping somebody, and then of course in school, I was always the person who my teachers would always help. They would always hand off whoever to me to, hey, this person needs their homework done, and I would always be the one to go to for that. In fact, any job that I've ever had, I've always been the trainer of whatever it is. And people would be like, okay, Dan, I need this done. Can you train this person? And surprisingly, the people that I do train usually end up being like a boss of me.
No.
Not that which is fine, because I like being the second in charge, because with, like you said, I taught special ed because I myself am special ed. I have learning disabilities, and the things that I deal with wasn't necessarily reading per se, and it's not necessarily dyslexia per se, but I mean, sometimes when I flip my letters around when I was younger, mine was math. And my big thing with math is that it's order of operations. Mm-hmm. And so the difference, there's the associate property, which is addition and multiplication. It doesn't matter if you flip your 7 or your 3s around. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. You either get 10 or you get 21. Now, if you do that in subtraction, you get a negative number, right. And negative numbers when you're younger is wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I was wrong 50% of the time. So what I had to do is, and I think a teacher told me to do this, circle the ones that you can do immediately so your mind can see that. I'm like, okay, yeah. Circle those subtractions, circle those subtractions, and, crank out the additions and go from there. And like I said, the order of operations was a killer during word problems for, division.
Yeah.
And that's even that order of operations is true for all I've ever done. Is if there's something that I can do that is interchangeable, I'm successful like immediately. Mm-hmm. But if there's something I have to do step by step by step by step, I'm not. In fact, one of the jobs I had, I was a grounds crew for Phoenix Airport, which is also called Sky Harbor, which is my dad always thought was a pretty cool name for it. Yeah. So I was a ground crew, and they had me do the labs, which is the lab truck, which in a plane, there's a container that takes your bath waste, and it goes from the toilet that you have in the airport, and goes to a container in itself. And what has to happen is we need to get rid of that, and we hook up hoses and things like that and flush it into a truck, and then we take the truck and dump it somewhere else. In doing that, there's a lot of levers and things that need to be done correctly and in the right order.
Right.
The first time I did it, the first time I was learning, was my boss is like, he like must have taught me like 5 or 6 times. He's like, I don't get this. I don't get why you're not doing this. One of these times I'm going to just tell you. I'm not going to tell you not to touch, not to turn that lever yet. And you're going to find out what happens. I'm like, no, I know what happens. So when I would be dumped on if you didn't figure that out.
Right.
And,
so to speak.
Yeah. And friends of mine actually had that happen. And, they're like, yeah, I'm going home. I don't care my shift is over right now. I'm going home. So what happened with me is I talked with my boss, and when we left, we went in, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And a lot of people I've actually talked to, like, I don't know why you can't get past this next thing. I'm like, I do. That's me.
Order of operations. Yeah. Well, that's actually good to know about yourself, because then you can start putting things in place to help.
Right. So we went inside, and I was frustrated, and I didn't know what to do. And so I wrote down my version of what I think it is. And I gave it to my boss. I'm like, here, is this right? And he's looking at it. He's like, yeah, you got it right. I'm like, okay, let's try it again. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, let's try it again. Okay. So we tried it, and I nailed it. And he said, you were 10 times faster than you've ever been, and I will not be with you anymore. I have no reason to supervise you. You got it.
So you just had to put it into your
and put your own terms into your own understanding, right?
Right. Yeah, and use my version and things like that. And that's basically my whole life has been like trying to hack it out, creating special ed hacks or hacks that work for me.
That's exactly
when
what
I was
do
younger.
With my students. I call myself the queen of cheat sheets, because I have to take that information and then translate it because the way it comes to me and a lot of my students, it's like, okay, I get it, but I can't remember it, right? I can't make it work. I can't make it do the thing I
Very
need to
true.
do. So I'll
Right.
do it in a different way, and all of a sudden you'll see this light bulb go off. So we have so much in common. Growing up in the
I
Pacific
know.
Northwest and having SAD and being called Mopey Marvin. Literally, I got called Mopey Marvin. Your book really, really spoke to me, and it's so nice to see that not only were you able to be diagnosed as a child and have supportive parents that helped you with that, but now you're passing that on. And I hope this book reaches a lot of kids.
And a lot of teachers and parents too, because it's going to be.
Tell me a little bit about the journey of this book. When did you first come up with the idea of I want to write a children's book?
So I think everybody's, have something in their, what's it called? The bucket list. Everybody has somebody's bucket list. And I've been a reader all my life. And, I tried to keep up with my brother, who was a very fast reader. And I learned, he used to read Shoujo adventure books, and he would fly through them. And
I love those books.
There were, yeah, me too. And there wasn't like the adult version or the higher version, and then there was the younger kid version. And I became a better reader because of that, because I was trying to keep up with my brother. And
Nice.
Obviously, a younger kid or younger brother, idolizing their big brother.
Right.
That's kind of the same thing. So as far as reading is concerned, like I said, I got really good at reading. And my mom's an accountant, so she was always going to help me with math. My dad, on the other hand, was in sales, but he didn't really get me helping with math. Like he had more of that's the way it is, white and black kind of version of math. Like, this is 2 + 2 is 4. Why don't you get it?
Yeah.
And so every night was a fight, and I do mean a fight. If we, I would get done with all the homework that I could, and then math would be later. And so, whatever happened, it would always took forever to get to that math. And, successful getting, I can do my reading, I can do social studies, I can do my science, I can do all that other stuff. And then, but then my mom was able to get done all of her stuff. So, and then she's like, okay, do you have everything ready? I'm like, okay, I got my chips, I got my Coke, I got my pencils, I got my markers, I got whatever I need, I'm ready. Had I not had comfort food, I probably wouldn't have done, the work. And so she always had to make sure that I had the comfort food too, because otherwise I was a pain in the tail, as far as like math is concerned, because, the majority of my conversation is like, whoever created math is so stupid. I don't know why they created it, blah, blah, blah.
I've heard that a million times.
No doubt.
And when I did, my dad would be like, he would be gone. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't, and a young child cursing because they can't do something. And he didn't hear the frustration. All he heard was his son cursing.
Right.
So, like, I want to go back, and I want to go back in time and tell them off and tell them that this math is stupid, blah, blah, blah. When I got older, obviously I realized that math is more important and that everything builds upon math, as well as reading and writing. But I didn't understand that. And
it
at
builds
the time,
the logic process.
because, right. But if you don't have, if 50% of what you're doing you can do, and the other 50% you can't, you are a failure at that subject. And that, surprisingly, that's kind of the way it's that if I could go back and I could fix anything for special ed, is that the child has to fail in order to get the support.
Right.
You have to fail. You have to find out that you're doing bad in school. So then a lot of times when the teachers or whoever gets the student during those first 2 weeks, it's not a honeymoon for them.
No,
they're frustrated. They're just like,
failure. Yeah, you're already starting out on the wrong. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
I've never thought of it that way. That's absolutely true.
That's one of the reasons, this is a catalyst for me too. It's a crusade. I've always tried to help special ed kids. And when I did teach a couple of, different things, I taught them a success story. My school where I went to college was University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, and they have something that's actually, I guess, internationally known, and it's called Project Success. And before I went to college, I had to go to a summer session, and in that summer session, we learned how to diacritically mark things in the dictionary, as well as we got an uplift in that your dyslexia is a gift. And in having it as a gift, I was able to part that through, after I, had that summer session, I was able to part that into other things too. And when I had, taught in student teaching, I worked with kids who were dealing with this and were frustrated. I remember one of the kids when I was student teaching, she hated reading, but she liked me.
Yeah.
So guess who worked with reading for any time? Like, oh, go and talk with this girl because she likes reading with you. I'm like, okay. I'm like, if I can help any way, I will.
Yeah.
And when I was a high schooler, I was blessed to have the opportunity to go back, through some kind of co-op or whatever. And during one of my classes, I was able to go back, which literally was down the hill, that where I went to elementary school and where I went to high school was difference between up the hill and down the hill. And so I went down the hill and I was able to teach with a former teacher. What an experience that was, because, she's like, oh, I remember you, little Danny. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But now, like, I can't believe you and blah, blah, and you're a teacher. And yeah, so, and even more of success is that, I went to my first two-year school and I ended up getting kicked out. My grades dropped immediately. Oh. I ended up with 1.8 when I went on to Oshkosh, and they said, yeah, we'll take you, but you have to take this, dyslexic remediation course. I'm like, done. And when I did, I was able to get help that they were able to provide, and my scores just skyrocketed.
Nice.
Other than having
it right out of the gate.
Other than having an F that I can't get rid of, I didn't know what audit meant. Now I do. But audit means to take a class and just not get a grade for it.
Right.
But you still have to go. And then if you do that, then it doesn't go against your grade point. However, I didn't understand that. I'm like, well, why am I giving a grade if I don't have to go? So the end of the semester came in. I'm like, why do I have an F? He's like, because you didn't go. I'm like, yeah, but I audited it. Yeah, that doesn't mean what you think it means. So I have this F on my record, and that, I could have been. I mean, I've gleaming grades after I left that school, my first 2-year school, which is the local school that I had, but I still have that F. So I probably would have like a 4 point, but because of that F, I was dragged down. I think the highest I got was a 3.8.
That's still pretty good.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, if you take care of the F, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy good. I think, Dan, you might have another book in you, because not only are you going to help kids with seasonal affective disorder, but it sounds to me like you have another book about dyslexia, maybe.
Well, I would like to do I had Why Is Sam So Sad? I was thinking, why is Stan so stupid? And then obviously that's something, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, you can't say stupid. You can't. And then obviously in the beginning of the book, he'll be like, yeah, people call me stupid.
Yeah.
But am I stupid? No, I'm not. I haven't figured out how I want to do that, because I also wanted to talk about, like all the different kinds of special ed individuals. Like the person, this is Adam and he has ADD and something like that, but I don't really know how I'm going to do that. But yeah, that's definitely a book inside of me. Yeah. I do have another book that's ready to go, but not printed up yet, and I'm not published yet. But that is like I said, I worked at a ground crew in Phoenix, and I wrote a book about that, and that's called The Rampers. and what the rampers do. It's a day in the life of the rampers.
Oh, that would be
And
fascinating.
you look up,
Rampers, yeah.
right. So you look out the window and you see these little ants running around and doing things like that, which that's kind of how I described it. And you wonder why they're doing things. So I know when I was writing it, my mom was enthralled with it. She was just like, this is so cool. Like, I learned so much just from this book. I'm like, okay. I didn't really think, okay, cool. All right, we'll go with that. Surprisingly, when I was writing The Rampers, I had to stop because I had to, it was called, well, if you want to go with religion, I was called to write the sad book.
Mm-hmm.
And I put The Rampers on hold. So The Rampers is done. And every day I get my mom nagging me like, you gotta get the Rampers out. You gotta get the Rampers out. You gotta get. I'm like, I know, but I'm working on the sad thing. But what we want to do is we would love to put that into airports and have them in gift shops. I don't know how we do that. But that is definitely the dream of mine, is to have that be in airports.
Yeah, I think the only thing people
So that
ever
would
focus
be,
on
it's
is
not
luggage, and that's all they think is, baggage claim. They don't think about all the other intricate pieces that go into them getting a soda or being able to flush the toilet. They probably don't even think about that.
Right. So in the book, I talk about the journey of the bag and what the bag actually goes through. And I talk about it in like a real, elementary version. But it's not it's a kid's book, but it's more of a chapter book because there's a lot to say. I mean, I think there were like maybe seven parts to it. It was 7 chapters, we'll say, in order to get to the end of the book, and what it all entails, like filling up the plane, and then the plane coming in from the plane, coming into the plane, leaving. All of that is in there. And I have information from, my bosses that were there, and they thought it was really cool that I was writing a book, and they gave me, I'm like, is this true? Is this exactly what it is? And they're like, yeah, this is okay. You got it. This is right. This is right. Add this and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that, believe it or not, was my second favorite job in the world, or second favorite job I've ever had, because I was in the sun all the time, busy.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was in Phoenix, busy, and communicating with, your friends who, 3 or 4 people, depending on how busy the flight is, and people you rely on, and people that you were, goofing around and hanging out with, and you'd hang out with them anyways. And you just got a good bond because you're accomplishing a task that you need to do, but you're also friends because you do it all the time.
Mm-hmm. So that begs the question, why are you no longer in Arizona when that was your happy place?
Oh, when COVID hit, I needed to leave. You're the first person who's asked me that.
No.
And
I can only imagine how awful COVID was for anybody who suffers from that, because you already alienate yourself on the off season, and now you're being forced to alienate yourself even when the sun's out. That must have had just a horrible effect on you and anybody who suffers with SAD.
Right. Well, I no longer really am a teacher. Everybody's like, why don't you do teaching? I'm like, I can't be around. I lost it. So what happened is, I used to live with my dad. I was living with him when he was in his later years in life, and he was ailing, and I was taking care of him. And he passed away, and he's a big part of education for me. He would come up and visit me in college, and, we'd go get something to eat or a beer. I don't know if you want to say that there, but
no,
it's college.
We've
so
said worse.
Yeah. So, right. And so we would both look forward to it and hang out together. Then he also was a part of, my educational experience he would come and, read to my kids and stuff like that. Like they got a chance to meet. And so when he passed away, it was rough. I mean, I lost a part of me that used to want to be the teacher, and it just wasn't there anymore. So I ended up coming back from Arizona during COVID, where actually, I don't remember, what was it, maybe like 20% of the flights were, probably less than that. I took a picture at one point and like everything was delayed. All the flights were, during COVID, all the flights were down. And so the company I had, the company I was working with, they said, you can only get 2 days out of the week.
Oh, you can't survive.
And I'm
that.
like, well, that's not going to help me.
Yeah.
So I ended up leaving, and I ended up coming back to Wisconsin. And during COVID, I mean, everything was shut down. I ended up, hibernating and trying to wait for a job. I mean, there was no jobs available.
Right.
I tried everything.
Yeah, you and I had the opposite paths when everything shut down. I ended up getting into teaching because everything went online.
Right.
And that's what led me into teaching, because before I was traveling and doing all that stuff, and when that all shut down, so we had the opposite. So other than writing, what do you do now?
It's been busy just trying to do this stuff. Like, so after work, I am busy. Basically, has been just doing the book or another company I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be a public speaker, which again is something we're related.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that. I'm trying to pursue that and creating my PowerPoint and things like that. But that's taken a lot of time. But everything that I've done is related. Everything is helpful to some way, shape, or form. That I didn't, think it was going to be like that. All my research that I've done to try to help myself help me with the book. When I learned about the gratitude thing, I'm like, I have to put this in the book. And so, I can talk about that. Sam he writes a list of gratitude, and that's actually, his gratitude actually is on my webpage now. I'm like, I gotta have that. That's really cool. Because I really am for having gratitude. I don't think we are thankful enough for what we have. I know there's a song that talks about, I have four walls, it's my life might be crumbling or something like that, but I have four walls around me, and I'll make it through the day or something like that. It's by a group, Real Big C or something like that. It's not that. Great Big Sea, I think it's called, and it's a group out of Canada. Yeah, it was a great group out of Canada. It was huge, and the reason I liked it is because I like there's a Chameleon song Chameleon in the Sun, but I can't remember what that song is, and they do a version of that, and their version is more acoustic and stuff versus like the rock and roll version. Anyways.
I do remember a song called Run, Run Away by the band Slade that has See the Chameleon lying in the sun.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the one. But I couldn't find it for years. I'm like, all I remembered is a chameleon, blah, 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 chameleon. I'm like, no, I don't want Come a Chameleon. I don't want the Culture Club. I want the other one.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember what that was.
That.
Yeah. And so if you look up, I want to say Great Big Sea. And like I said, they're out of Canada, and they did really well.
Yeah, Great Big Sea, like the ocean, a Canadian folk rock band. I've got the interwebs over.
Did you find it?
What was the name of the song?
Run, Run.
Well, no. I can't remember. It's like Four Walls Around Me. I can't remember what it is. It's the one that has the rugby players on it. If you're looking for pictures, it's the one with the rugby. Yes.
I've got a smile on my face, and I've got four walls around me. I've got the sun in the sky.
See?
All the water surround me. Oh, we can't play it because we'll get taken down. But I'll put a link to it on our interview so folks can listen to it.
So another one. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say this.
So
I can see how you would attach to this song, because basically what keeps her from. It tells the story about Janie and how she picks herself up, and in this beautiful life, there's always some sorrow. It's a double-edged knife, but there's always tomorrow. Oh, you can sink or swim. I'm gonna have to listen to the song. I like.
Yeah, well, and then you should listen to the Slade one, because, like I said, that was the first one
that one I know.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but listen to their version, because it's really cool. So they have that one's a one singer, and then they changed later on somehow throughout their but yeah, I was a real fan after I heard that one, and then a couple more, and I was like, I'm hooked. I'd never heard of this before.
Yeah.
So I was talking about gratitude, and I was talking about the what is it, Anthony Medford. There's another link that you're going to want to put on there, and that is from Hal Elrod. Yeah, that's not Elrod, not the L. Ron Hubbard, but Hal Elrod, and he talked about your 5 minutes of going through whatever it is. So you get 5 minutes to go through frustration. So what happened is when he was in sales, his boss pulled him aside. He's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. He pulled him aside. He said, look, you get 5 minutes to do however you need to do, and then you get back at it.
Okay.
You can, yeah. So you can get mad, you can get sad, you can get whatever you want. You get 5 minutes and you get back at it and you go back to that call. And so in order to do that, he ended up doing that. And now he's talking about that. And this is more research I found. That was found on impact theory, where he was interviewed. And he talks about, he went through a huge, I think like he was 17, and he went through a really bad accident when he was younger, like a car accident. And then later on, he like suffered from cancer. And when he was told he suffered from cancer, and he was told by the doctors, he's like, okay. And the doctors and everybody in that room was like, you do know what we're saying, right? You do know that you have cancer, this is life-threatening, and you need to be taking care of yourself. And are you delusional, or do you understand what we're saying? Like, yeah, I do. Okay, how can you be like this? And he's like, I can't change it.
Right.
I can't change it. I only can change the way I look at it.
Right.
And in doing that, he did as much as he could. He went through therapy, and he did every kind of thing that he could in order to get to where he was. And then, he, fought that off, just like he fought off, learning how to rewalk again. I think he learned to rewalk again. Don't quote me on that, but it was a really, really interesting video by Impact Theory.
And they have done many studies, and attitude has so much to do with recovery. So much to do. I remember when my mom was diagnosed, she instantly went out and got every comedy she could get. She goes, I'm just going to laugh myself well. And, she extended her life.
Oh, that's cool. Haven't heard that one.
She extended her life for a good solid year.
A guy named Norman Cousins wrote a book about that concept.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And she did. I mean, why focus on the bad?
Anatomy of an Illness, I think it's called.
Yeah. Well, Dan, I want to give you a chance to tell everybody where to find you. We went all over the place. You have so much to tell the world. I can't wait to see your next book. As soon as that puppy hits, you let us know. We'll have you back on, and we will pimp that one shamelessly. I can't wait to read it. Awesome. It sounds very interesting, and I hope you end up with a whole series of the things that you went through as a kid and how you overcame them and how other kids can do that. I think this book is darling.
Mm-hmm. It's great. It really was good.
I think it's going to help a lot of people, and I hope
Thank
to
you.
see this. I was thinking your book about the airports would be really good for kids who have fear of flying, and take that angle, because if they understand what's going on, and they get an interest in that, they won't be focusing on the fear. So it might even help some adults.
I didn't really see it as like fear of flying, but I know that when I was writing it, a friend of mine, she's a teacher, and one of her students he's focusing on certain things, and he's like, oh yeah, he loves airplanes. I'm like, really? Well, somebody who works with airplanes, and okay. So I talked to a pilot, and I'm like, hey, is there any possible way that I can get one of those little pins you guys have, those captain pins that you can get for kids? He's like, yeah, give me a week. Next time I see you, when I come back again, I'm going to come in this flight, I'll have one for you. Sweet. Okay, cool. I kind of forgot about him. It's a week. He comes over. He's like, here you go. It's a bag. It was a bag of these pins.
Oh my goodness.
So this kid, which is, he was so funny to hear about. He has trouble communicating with others, and he was very shy. And so when he had this, he didn't want to give it away. Like, he was thinking, the pilot's like, yeah, now you can give it away to all your friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. So he gave away little by little, like, but those first 3 weeks, he didn't want to give away any. And so not only did it give him, a ability to talk to somebody about, planes or something like that, but it also gave him a chance to meet friends and make friends and, the social thing. And that's what's going on in our world. It's there, we're not connecting as much as we need to.
Right.
We're losing a lot of communication skills, and it's harder to be everything now. Every kind of profession, it's just a little harder, especially with kids. I mean, it used to be like, well, I will, learn something about what you know in order to relate to you, but it's getting harder and harder. Like, I got a standing ovation when I found out who Pikachu was when I was student teaching. And then Harry Potter came out during that time, and they're like, "Are you related to Harmony? Are you her dad?" I'm like,
Hermione.
"No."
Oh, it's because
Hermione. Yeah, Hermione, different grade. Like, no. I'm like, okay, all right. So then, but yeah, the standing ovation I still remember, because like, everybody stand up, Mr. Granger knows who this is. I'm like,
that's funny.
Okay, but your teacher's teaching? Like, I just told you that. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, I have to be on it because I have kids from 4th grade all the way through college, so I have to know all kinds of crazy things. So yeah, I know.
Oh, I'm sure.
I know my Pokemon.
Yeah.
I know anime. I've read all the Harry Potter books. It's like yeah. I've been reading the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and whatever it takes to get through. Whatever it takes, yeah, I'll do it. And every time I have an English student that is reading a book that I haven't read before, I'll find it, I'll read it, just so I can converse with them and help them. And so yeah, meet kids where they are. Well, we are actually literally running out of time, and I want to make sure that you get another chance to tell people where they can find you on the interwebs. So where can they find you in your book?
My website is dan-granger.com.
That's easy.
And you can find me, totally easy. Just that dash, like a subtraction sign.
And can they get your cool hat on that website?
I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I actually have another shirt. I have 2 shirts that I'm working on. So I have this t-shirt, which I showed you, and then I have a long sleeve shirt, and down here says word gratitude.
Oh.
And I have that in English and Spanish. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. The buddy I work with, he makes, like I said, he does t-shirts, and so he'd be happy to make more, I'm sure. I don't know how we're going to do that. I haven't figured that out yet. I know that some people have been really excited about the hat. These are all just number one individual right now.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, you can sell them in the back of the room when you get your speaking career launched. That's always where you make the dough, is in the back of the room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I plan on selling what I can.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, so dan-granger.com, and then, of course, your book is on Amazon and every place that good books are sold. We will have all of those links on our website. And looking forward to having you back on the show, Dan. I'm really excited for all the things. You've got so many irons in the fire right now. I hope that you keep up your motivation. And let's not be sad anymore. We've got to get you out of Pittsburgh, though, dude. You got to get back to Arizona where the sun is.
You're killing me. I actually have my Packer thing right here. There's Lambeau Field.
Oh, wow.
See it?
Wow. Okay. That's nice. That's a really nice track.
Not Heinz Field, sorry.
I know nothing about that area. Once they told me that it snows, I was out. Forget it. Nope. I'll stay in the sunshine. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there one last thing that you would like to tell anybody who might be listening?
I would love to. Well, I would like to finish the way that I would sign a book and say that, so I'd say to, and then say, Sam and I wish you much happiness as you create your own list of gratitude.
You create your own list of gratitude. Perfect ending.
Great way to finish.
Dan, it was a sincere joy talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you grow and see more of your books come out and having you back on the show anytime.
Absolutely, anytime.
Here on CounterCultureWISE, we may rant, we may rave, but most of all, we go against the current culture because we believe, to the core of our beings, that humans are good and the world is an amazing and beautiful place. At the beginning of our show, we give you news of the weird and wonderful, but that is just the tip of the magnificent iceberg that is our world. We now present news of the wonderfuller.
In the heart of Wales, the tallest tree, once a majestic symbol of nature's grandeur, faced a grim fate. Severely damaged by a storm, it was slated for removal. However, chainsaw artist and sculptor Simon O'Rourke had a different vision for the tree's final chapter.
That is
Isn't that
so
amazing?
Cool. Look at that, down to the lifeline.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's just some people who are just incredibly talented. This is a tweet from the
Might help if
sculptor.
I actually showed the screen. Let's try this again. Here we are. Now you can see how amazing we thought it was. Okay.
All right. So the rest of it is a tweet. I'm gonna skip the tweet, but have a look at it anyway.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Rather than
beautiful.
seeing it reduced to a stump, Simon decided to transform the damaged tree into a powerful piece of art, symbolizing its enduring spirit and final attempt to reach the sky. Thus, the giant hand of Vernwy was born.
Look at that thing.
Standing an impressive 50 feet tall, the sculpture features a hand that measures about 8 feet tall, modeled after Simon's own hand. So he, based on the lines on his own hand. Amazing.
You know that what they say, he knew it like the back of his own hand.
He certainly did. Over the course of 8 days, Simon meticulously carved the hand, capturing every detail with precision and care. The result is a breathtaking tribute to the tree's resilience and the natural beauty of Wales. Simon O'Rourke's artistic intervention has turned a potential loss into a lasting symbol of hope and determination, ensuring that the tallest tree in Wales continues to inspire awe for generations to come.
So it was the actual tallest tree?
Yeah.
And it got damaged?
Yeah. So there's a video and a couple of tweets.
Actually, they're Insta.
Oh, Insta. I'm sorry.
Let's see.
You know, I don't know my tweets from my Instas.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing story.
Oh my goodness, this guy's an artist.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Look at his stuff.
Wow, those look like real dogs.
He
Like,
does this with
really
a chainsaw?
Yeah.
This is insane.
I can't even. Yeah, anyway, I just can't. So, by all means, check it out. It's pretty amazing.
I gotta scooch this over so you can see these. Is this? Yeah, it is. Oh, my goodness.
Alien.
Something about the little. Yeah. This guy is. Okay, pizza.
He's also a pizza sculptor and beer drinker.
Pizza and beer. That's hilarious, all those sculptures. And then, wow. So, there's his hand. Nope.
There's the video.
There's the video, but I didn't want it the video. Okay, this is the video.
This is how I done it.
Oh, look at that. It's a Scottish Highlander. I actually raised calves of those. Aw, looks like they're Abigail.
It does look quite a bit like the Gubs. Yeah.
I can't believe he does this with a chainsaw. It's insane. Well.
That is just amazing.
I love that he took this tree and turned it into a work of art.
And that is absolute art. That is not.
Yeah,
that
and it
was
is
not
it's
easy
such
to
a
do.
wonderful tribute to such a majestic. That's amazing, and I mean he had to be up there, like.
He was in scaffolding doing,
yeah.
No, there was scaffolding. If you watch the video, it'll show the whole process from
well, we will
stump
have a
to
link.
hand.
We will have a link on CounterCultureWISE.com so you can follow that and see what that looks like. him on his scaffolding and whatnot. But hey, I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired.
Yeah, it's been a long
It's been
a long week.
And we're not the only ones it was long for. But folks, hey, go and have an amazing week, and may you be blessed. We will see you next week.
CounterCultureWISE is a Stormcat production.
Thank you for joining our growing family of listeners. All links from the show are available on our website, CounterCultureWISE.com. Find our archives on any of your favorite podcast hosts.
We engage in satire, commentary, and generally laugh at the ridiculousness of our crumbling society. Our only medical or financial advice is to not follow any financial or medical advice given by podcasters.
Our animations, interviews, Holy Crap segment, and other videos are put out on BitChute and Rumble, and only in part on YouTube because they hate free speech.
Our show is entirely funded by listeners like you. Visit our ever-expanding merch store or our Subscribe Star, where you can get outtakes, extra videos, and sneak peeks.
If you would like to be a guest on our program, feel free to contact us via our website. Just click on the link at the top that says, "Be a guest on our show."
For more fun and cat pics, please visit our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. For complaints about our show, please fill out the ID10T form on our website, and we will give it the attention it deserves.
Meanwhile, no matter how cruel the world may be around you, always remember the importance of kindness. Be kind to each other, be kind to animals, and be kind to yourself. See you next week.